Okay. I'd like to call this November 14th meeting of the Northfield Township Board of Trustees to order. Please stand for the invocation and then the pledge. Dear God, we thank you for this opportunity to serve the people of Northfield Township. We ask for your guidance and wisdom as we serve to take care of the affairs of the township to the best of our ability. Amen. Clerk Manley, please call the roll.
Zelenak.
Present.
Bellinger.
Here.
Chalkley. Here. Manley here. Dockett's here.
Okay.
Chick.
I am here. Ms. Otto is late with no notice.
Okay.
Okay. She's stuck in traffic.
We're missing a mic.
Yes. Oh, we are.
Missing a mic. We're going to have to share tonight.
Well, there's one down there with Lisa. I wonder if that can get moved. It's not working.
Check, check.
Okay. Pardon? Two talkers? Oh, there you go. Great. Yes, I know, and I said you were late with notice. Okay. Yes, you're excused. Okay. So you have before you the consent agenda. Can you hear Mr. Dockett?
Check. Are the headphones
Can you
on?
hear Mr. Dockett? Okay, thank you. You have the consent agenda before you. Do we need any of these reports held out for discussion later?
I need the minutes from the October 10th.
Okay, we'll pull those minutes from October 10th.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have any other items that need to be removed from the consent agenda? Because we won't talk about them later. We're going to let Mr. Willis go, and when Ms. Averill shows up, we're going to let her go too. So if anybody has any issues, state it now. Ms. Chick.
For Mr. Willis, I noticed that was 2 incidents at the same area where you had to pull the pump to take rags out. Is there any kind of notice that goes out to the people in that area that I know everybody knows not to flush things, but...
Yeah, but in this instance, those ended up being underwear, so it's kind of hard to get
Oh my
people to-
gosh.
I think sometimes kids and stuff with underwear, they kind of flush them down the
Oh,
toilet,
okay,
so.
got it. Thank you.
All right.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Okay, so we are only pulling the minutes of October 10th out of the consent agenda. Okay, may I have a motion to adopt the balance of the agenda? A motion by Chick,
Second.
support by Manley. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, anyone opposed? Okay, it passes unanimously. Okay, now we have an opportunity for call to the public. Does anyone have anything they'd like to share with us this evening? If so, please come on up. Make sure the mic is on and it's close to your mouth. State your name and your address, and welcome. Come on up.
Mary Devlin, 9211 Brookside Drive. First thing I want to say is that if you didn't have the opportunity to attend the harvest dinner at the community center, you missed out on something wonderful. There were about 40 people there, and the food was, well, I'm still full. Does that tell you anything? Okay, the second thing that I want to mention to you is about the election that we had. I'm really disappointed in the fact that there are 6,544 registered voters in this township. The total ballots cast during that election were only 1,011. So that means that 5,533 registered voters didn't bother to vote absentee or go to the polls. And that upsets me a great deal. The last thing I want to say is to put a little lighthearted thing into the meeting this evening. I was looking at the packet and the memo to the Township Board of Trustees from Chief Wagner, carbon copy to County Chief Bishop, Deputy Chief Bishop. Anyways, it's hiring of fighter trainee, Devon Simmer. Well, here's what it said. There's a slight typo error in this. I am requesting approval to hire Payne on-call firefighter, so on and so forth. I'm sure there's a lot of pain at times when you are a firefighter, but I just thought I would give you a chuckle for this thing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else this evening?
Hi, Dave Gordon, 5558 Helena Road. Hello, everybody. It's been nearly a year since this new board took office. Because I'm an optimist, I had high hopes and have high hopes. I still do, though they're tempered a bit now, and here's why. I've had residents come up to me in the last couple months saying, I'm really impressed that you stay at these meetings all day, Dave, or all night, because I try to watch them on TV and I can't. They just give up. Frankly, they've lost patience trying to watch 3+ hours of these meetings. And these folks are the ones who really care. You're losing your audience, the people you represent, and you can fix this. You must, if you wish to fulfill your promise of a transparent government, because if you keep chasing people away by having incredibly long meetings, there's not going to be any transparency because there'll be no involvement. I just have to look at tonight's agenda, which is typical. There are 16 items on the agenda, and that's not counting the 8 department reports. The packet itself is 195 pages long. Who wants to take wagers that we're here after 10 o'clock tonight with this meeting again? Please fix this for the benefit of everyone. The second thing I want to talk about was money. The last board, on the advice of our highly paid manager, Howard Fink, spent $800,000 from the rainy day savings account to build a 10-foot sidewalk, pay for half of a fire truck, and buy 23 acres of land with 75 feet of lake frontage. Now you're thinking about spending $3 to $6 million for sewer expansion. There's 2 reasons why these things upset me. Number one, you're all Republicans. I, myself, am a Democrat, but you're Republicans and you're supposedly fiscal conservatives. The trustees were not prudent, in my opinion, when you voted to hire a $100,000 year manager with no clear idea of what he's supposed to do to justify his salary. The second reason this upsets me is because I live in the rural area, and rural residents pay 60% of the taxes in this community. But almost all the energy, focus, and money being spent by the board is directed to the lake area. This is historical, and this board is continuing that. Fire trucks, sidewalks, and waterfront parks benefit the folks of Whitmore Lake way more than they do in the rural area. So what I'm asking for is a little balance, a little fairness. Next time you want to spend $800,000, think about rural road maintenance or improving high-speed internet throughout the entire township. Please focus your energy and our tax dollars where they give us the greatest return for everybody who lives here. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else want to come up and share anything? Okay, seeing no one. Now we have an opportunity for board member comments, and I would ask the board to confine their comments to any of the call to the public issues. If there are any announcements, we can do that under the correspondence and announcements. Ms. Bellinger.
Yes, a couple things. I understand somebody mentioned the library may not be offering copies soon. Evidently, they're going to get rid of the copy machine and no longer offer copies. This was a concern for a few people. I thought I wanted to make a quick note of that. To the board member comments, this is with regards to last week. I thought we were taxed enough already. On November 7th, the voters of Washtenaw County were asked to consider yet another tax increase. Prop 1, the Mental Health and Public Safety Millage, passed with county-wide approval of 64%. Northfield Township voted against this millage, yet should expect to see a property tax increase of 1 mil beginning December 1st, 2018. Within this language of Prop 1, 24% of the levied 1 mil shall be allocated to jurisdictions in the county which maintain their own police force. That means us. So after the county gathers the money from the millage, about a quarter of it will be refunded to those jurisdictions with police forces. An estimated $152,000 will be refunded to Northfield Township in the first year. At the next Township Board meeting, I intend to make a motion to have a resolution drafted returning this money to the taxpayers in Northfield Township. By returning this refund to the taxpayers in Northfield Township, we can reduce the effective burden of this millage from 1 mil down to about 0.55, nearly half. Unfortunately, the other communities that do not maintain their own police forces, there can be no such refund. For next year's 8 years, these communities will subsidize Ann Arbor's spending plans for the 24% that Ann Arbor will receive, those being electric cars, solar initiatives, climate change, and affordable housing. Regarding the communities that are receiving a refund, I intend to contact those of those jurisdictions after this meeting and notifying them of this pending motion. I want to note there are no restrictions on how the 24% refund may be spent. The proposal does not stipulate that those communities must spend this refund on public safety or on mental health. Some legal opinions say this is a tax without a purpose, and this is illegal. Clearly, it is unequal taxation, which is also illegal. So how can it be that by returning the refund to our taxpayers, we can reduce the levied amount to nearly half? So from what I understand, this millage will be legally challenged. I want to also thank Kathleen Manley, our clerk, for sharing with us the election results. Thank you very much for including that in the packet. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. Thank you. Any other comments? Mr. Dockett?
David said that the board is Republican. The board is rhinos. Rhino means a Republican in name only. They're more Democrat than David Gordon is. Most of the board. The other thing I want to talk about is Dockett's pay. I still have not gotten a paycheck, even though this board voted for me to get a paycheck. But the clerk decided that she does not want me to have the paycheck, and so I have not got it. And I think that she goes against what the board says. And then she goes on to say that I signed something that said that I would take a pay card. I have a copy with me. What I signed says, this is final notice that we will be moving to a cash card system. Cash card system. That's what I signed. And our clerk now was not here when I signed this. So I guess my next move will be to ask to get paid every 3 months like the other people do. So I'll have my check. Because she knew I wanted to go to Florida. The whole thing started last year because I didn't get it before I went to Florida. I came back, they paid me $1,700 in cash money. The supervisor took me up to the bank. So I just can't understand why, after the board voted for me to get paid, that I didn't. And so I had a conversation with the clerk, and she's just being hard to get along with. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dockett. Any other comments down this way? Ms. Zelnok?
Yes. First of all, I'd say I was disappointed to see that the last Planning Commission was canceled. According to our meeting in October 21st with the Planning Commission, we had made a motion that they would look at the downtown plan and come back to us at this meeting or give us a recommendation. I think it's very important that we move forward and have these plans in place so that we can develop the downtown area. I know that there has been a lot of comments on that about revitalizing our downtown, so I think that's an important next step. The other thing is I also think the Planning Commission it's pertinent that they look at ordinances to ensure that we have our best practices, again, to promote businesses in the downtown area as well as other development according to the master plan. Again, we've heard a lot how, I keep always hearing and how difficult it is to do business in Whitmore Lake, Northfield Township. We need to make sure that we have the facts out to the public that that is not the case, that we do encourage development according to the master plan. So I'm looking for some guidance from the Planning Commission to make sure that that's happening so we can advertise that to indicate that we do have best practices in those regards. As far as taxes, I think we do need to take into account that we are Northfield Township and that we need to make sure that all residents are receiving the benefits of when we spend our tax dollars. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments down here? Ms. Chick?
I just wanted to comment on Treasurer Zelnok's comments about the Planning Commission. I was also disappointed that they canceled, and I made that noticed, commented to the chair and the planner as well. They said that they weren't ready for the meeting, and I did say that I was disappointed about the fact that we were going to discuss the vision for the downtown area, but that will come at the next meeting. And also, we have been working on ordinances for many, many years. It takes a lot of time to do that. Even the sign ordinance has been going on for several meetings, and it's not quite done, but it's very close. But we are aware of the issues going on in the township and have discussed that at the Planning Commission level as well, including the list of items that Vidya sent us to be looking at as well that she's seen for us to focus on, and that's what we were supposed to be getting started on. So I would want to see that happen sooner rather than later as well.
If I may, thank you, Ms. Chick.
Ms. Manley?
Yeah, just real quick. Mr. Dockett will be getting paid on December 1st with a paycheck. We voted on June 13th. Mr. Dockett will be provided one paycheck per year for his salary with the costs incurred by the township, which is what we agreed on, which is what I told Mr. Dockett, that he would get paid December 1st with a paycheck. I offered to mail it to Florida if that's where he'll be. And him and I did have a conversation after getting accused of different items and getting cursed at. The conversation ended, and I left it with letting Mr. Dockett know that his paycheck will be here on December 1st.
I think I ought to say when my paycheck's coming, not you.
Thank you. And I do want to mention that some of the issues with our development in the area are procedural, and that I did meet with Mr. Roman also, and we've been talking about some of the issues, and Mr. Ains will be involved, I'm sure, with getting some of our procedures more ironed out, but I'm hopeful that things will change quickly, and with all of these eyes on it, I think there should be a good future ahead of us for development in the area. So anyway, with that,
Can I have just one
Ms. Otto?
asked
Go
a
ahead.
question?
Sure.
For Mr. Dockett's check, can we overnight it to him to Florida?
Sure.
Okay.
I have no issue with that. We would just need an address for Mr. Dockett, and I did offer that to him.
And then I was wondering, why did we wait until December to do it? Because it's within the budget year. We could do it any time within that budget year.
That was when
Can I
the
ask
next
that?
pay period would be for all the trustees, so
Oh. When did we decide on it? In June?
yeah. Isn't
I
that
don't
the
know, there
next
was a-
trustee paycheck quarterly is December 1st?
Yeah, it would be.
Right.
Well, there would be one in September.
Well, he wanted one paycheck per year.
Yeah, but we could have paid it to him in September and avoided this whole thing. So
It wasn't requested at that time, so.
I'm requesting it now.
he could have gotten one
Okay.
anyways. It doesn't matter. He would get a paycheck that comes out of the budget for 1 year.
I would actually, Mr. Maines.
And we're
on
not
that-
paid by meeting anyways. We're paid.
Quarterly.
I mean, can
Per
you,
diem.
can you legally do that? Meaning, what happens if Mr. Dockett were unfortunately to maybe, like any of us, pass away and you had paid them in advance?
If Mr. Dockett would have requested that,
I'm just asking legally.
I might have been able
I
to
don't
work
know
with
the
that.
answer to that off the top of my head.
Okay.
Because I know we can't accept taxes before the due date, and one reason is in case there is a death on that property owner, then we are held, it's just becomes legally very messy. So we have to accept it only on December 1st when the warrant goes out, because if we collect it, so.
We actually have the whole month of December then. So really, you shouldn't be paying it out until January 1st.
All I know is the
Theoretically.
warrant goes out on December 1st, and we can collect our taxes on December 1st, and we cannot accept any taxes before that date for the winter taxes because of,
Are you talking property taxes
Yes.
or?
yeah.
That's
So I'm-
property taxes.
yeah.
This is
I know, I'm just saying.
employee taxes are
I'm
a
just
little bit
saying-
different than property taxes.
I'm just saying legally, if we were to pay them in advance, is there any liability or any concern on the townships? And I'd ask Mr. Maines to look.
As long as you withdraw it,
I'd ask Mr. Maines to look
yeah,
into it.
but as long as you withdraw it and you pay it, there should be no liability.
Okay,
Just asking him to look into it legally for us.
okay.
Unfortunately, where I've been staying in Florida for the last 5 years, the lady died. I have no address in Florida. And even if I were down there and knew where I was going to be, I don't have a bank in Florida.
Someone here can deposit it for you.
It would have been a
There's-
lot better to just pay me. I know what kind of person you are.
Okay,
And
Mr.
that's
Dockett.
why I
Mr.
don't-
Dockett.
Mr.
That's
Dockett,
why I didn't get the check.
if we would have had a
that-
civil conversation at that point, we could have worked through it.
Bullshit.
Exactly.
Mr. Dockett,
That's what I'm not going to listen to. Thank
okay.
That's just too bad.
Please.
Don't lie then.
Mr. Dockett, that's
I know what you're
inappropriate.
doing. I know what
Inappropriate.
you're doing.
It's inappropriate.
It was a lie.
It's inappropriate, Mr. Dockett.
So is that not paying me inappropriate?
Right. If you have a friend in the area that you trust, they could take care of that check for you.
I don't need someone to take care of my check. I need the check while I'm here.
Okay, we're going to end this conversation at this point, and it will be issued on December 1st. Okay.
That's not when I wanted it.
I'm sorry, it's too late. The next item on the
It's
agenda.
not too late. She told me last month, more than a month ago, that I'd be paid on the 1st of November. Ask her if she didn't tell me that.
Mr. Maines, go ahead.
Does the board want me to look into Treasurer Zelnok's question, or is that not the pleasure of the board? Just we've had an issue before of looking into the questions of one
Questions.
board member, so I just want to make sure that we're being fair. Is that something the
Okay.
board wants me to look into?
I mean, could we just make a motion to write a check for this
I
week?
also would
Yeah.
like to look into if we could get the paycheck done before December 1st, that it doesn't, from ADP or whoever our payroll is.
This probably could have been handled if Mr. Dockett would have had a conversation with me. We could have offered it.
I don't have to beg for my
Okay.
check. I don't have to beg for my paycheck. You owe me. You owe me the money.
Can we move on, please?
Pardon?
Can we move on?
Yeah, I would think, I think we should move on and handle
then
this
just let-
administratively with Mr. Ains. We'll see what we can do, Mr. Dockett. Okay, the next item is,
So I have a question. Did we answer?
Oh, did we answer Mr. Maine's
Did we answer
question?
Mr. Maine's question?
well, the question remains, I mean, what if I wanted all of my $12,500 up front in the January for the entire year? You know, it could open a can of worms, but,
Again, I think the question
The
is.
trustees are
was-
paid
Noah's question-
differently than the officers.
Yeah,
That's the big difference.
My
differently.
question is, can you legally pay somebody in September for work that they have not provided through the month of year? So that was my only question, is there just a legal constraint on that?
okay. I think that's a reasonable question to be answered.
Like I said, we can't do it in a taxes because if something were to happen to that individual. And I know it's different, but That's my question. So do we need a motion to have Mr. Maines look into it?
You collected my taxes all the last
Lenore,
year,
I suggest
and
you
I
make a
did not
motion.
get
I'll make a
paid
motion.
until February.
I'd like to make a motion that we have our attorney, Mr. Maines, look into seeing if we can legally pay someone in advance for work before work's performed.
I worked all year last year, and I didn't get paid till February. That was 2 months late, talking the way you're talking now.
Okay. I'll second that motion. Okay, so it's a motion by Ms. Zelnok to see if, to have Mr. Maines check into whether we can legally pay someone before the work is performed.
I got a question on this.
Okay, now we have discussion.
Yeah, did he, so, okay, he got paid for last year, so is it now that, okay, what I mean is like it could be September, one could receive a year's worth of pay, or maybe June, one could receive a year's worth, or, so how much has he already,
I think that's
Oh.
the question. And, based on what Lenore is asking, we're paying him in December, and he still hasn't finished out the month of December. So her question stands.
okay.
And I would also include in that as an adjustment to amend to say that we look into if taxes are withheld, what is the requirement? Because whenever you withhold any taxes, you have to pay it.
True. Yeah, would we be paying taxes on someone who
I
is
think
no
it's-
longer alive? That's a good question.
It's kind of setting a
maybe-
precedent for everybody.
Okay.
What if a firefighter comes in and says, oh, I'm short money, can you pay me my 2 weeks ahead? I mean,
Unless we
I don't-
change the year to September. I mean, change it to that quarter for his yearly pay.
it just, so many
Okay.
changes for one
Okay.
person, I don't.
So we have a motion by Zelnok and support by Chalkley.
I don't need it all for the whole year. Just pay me for November. That'll be fine.
So my thought is, if we legally can't going forward, let's just start paying Mr. Dockett in September before his holiday. I think we should have probably said that in our motion. So if we can't, then it sounds like we should move it to September, and we'd be fine. So there you go. That's my discussion.
Okay. Do you want to restate the motion then? And
Maybe
add-
Lisa
add
can
on-
help us with that motion.
Add on
don't know if
Ms.
I can.
Otto's comment.
Lisa, can you help us?
Can't hear her.
Looking to see if the township may legally pay someone in advance of work being performed and what the requirements are regarding any taxes withheld.
That sounds good.
Okay.
I'll still keep that on the motion. Thank you.
Will that be written out in the minutes? Because I cannot hear her. She's not on the mic. I don't know what happened.
It doesn't work? Okay. Okay, the motion was for Mr. Maines to look into, to see if we can legally pay someone prior to work being performed and the ramifications of the taxes on that payment. Could you hear that enough, Mr. Dockett?
Yeah, but
Okay.
I'll take a check for 11 months.
Okay,
I don't care.
let's have a roll call vote.
Check. Otto.
Yes.
Manley, no. Chalkley.
Yes.
Zelena.
Yes.
Dockett.
I will not vote.
Bellinger.
Yes.
Okay, so we have 5 yeses, 1 no, and 1 abstain. It passes.
Should we just make another motion to maybe write Dockett a check for 11 months? Can't do that? Okay.
The challenge is the payroll has already been done.
Well, from November to November is 12 months.
To November.
November of 2016 to the beginning of November of 2017 is 12 months.
Could we let Mr. Ains work on this for
Yes.
us? Because that's what he's for, right?
Okay, if we're going to do this, can we just get this
Can we get this?
set for next year so we don't have to deal with this again?
Absolutely.
Because we're making special decisions
It's
and
not-
conversations and for
It's
one member.
not a good idea.
Okay.
Right. Okay. All right, moving on.
Totally agree with you, Ms. Chick.
Yes. Yep. Okay, now, the next announcements. We do have some board appointments coming up, and hopefully later
Is
we'll
this
be...
correspondence?
This is under correspondence and announcements, yes.
Okay, I'll have a correspondence when you're done.
So I just wanted to draw the attention of the public to that, and if anyone wants to apply to be on Planning Commission, ZBA, or Board of Review, we do have some openings. So just contact the office for an application, and I look forward to getting some that we can deal with in December. Thank you. All right. And then the People's Express quarterly report is in your packet. Is there anything you'd like to say about that, Ms. Zelnok? Or is it good enough?
As the note says, it was requested by the board when we came for some funding, and so we're just making sure that we meet that requirement.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have any other correspondence? Ms. Bellinger?
Madam Chair, for the appointments, for the applications, are those also online, or does a candidate need to come in to even receive a physical copy?
We could put them online. There's no reason to put them online. And we couldn't. I'll ask, well, we'll let Mr. Ains ask Ms.
Okay.
Carlisle to put it online.
All right, great. And I have one correspondence. Thank you. You may recall that on October 10th, this board passed a resolution 17574 in support of House Bill 4220 in addressing the residents' concerns of the utility smart meter program. A copy of this resolution was sent to our governor, several representatives, and our Michigan Public Service Commission. Very possibly in response to our resolution and clearly stimulated by the cumulative voices of many utility customers who have been threatened with shut-off notices and have had power cut simply for not accepting the smart meter technology on their homes, Senator Patrick Colbeck responded with a pointed and articulate letter to our Michigan Public Service Commission chairman, outlining and bulleting many such convoluted runarounds these many customers have suffered. The senator not only affirms, he strenuously objects to any Michigan ratepayer losing power over matters regarding meter choice. Colbeck also noted that people cannot choose a new provider under Michigan utility monopolies. They have no recourse if they receive poor customer service. In response to Colbeck's letter, our MPSC affirmed in an interview that it is against state law for customers who have chosen not to switch to smart meters to suddenly have their power shut off. Yet, I personally know of several people who, despite being up to date on their electricity bills, have had their power disconnected for not accepting a smart meter on their home. I want to thank this board for passing this resolution. We are being heard. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I guess, are we, any more correspondence from anyone? Okay. Then we'll move on to regular reports. Mr. Willis, would you like to go home at this point? I mean, you don't have to, but if feel welcome to leave, because I know you work a long day. Yeah, okay, great.
I want to
You're
know about
welcome.
the muskrat, though. Please tell us about that.
Well, our third aeration tank, we were getting ready to drain it, and noticed a muskrat in there, and he was perched on a beam that goes across the tank. We tried for about an hour to lasso him, and he kept getting away. So we had a live trap. We put a live trap along the edge and raised the water level, so the only place he could get out of the water was inside the trap. And within about 45 minutes, we had him in the trap and pulled him out and released him in the creek. Over the years, we've pulled out snapping turtles. That's like the second or third muskrats. We've rescued ducks. And that's about it. Oh, I lassoed a groundhog one time that got in one of our tanks. I had it on a leash for a while, but turned it loose too. So.
Very good, thank you.
All right.
One more thing. Where was the hookup? I noticed there was one new, was it around, I mean, if you don't know, that's okay.
Yeah, I thought I put it in the...
I noticed it was there, and I wondered what area, if it's a new construction or,
I think it's on 7 Mile.
okay, yeah. all right,
That new
Yeah, okay.
garage-looking sunken mess there.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, Mr. Willis. All right, the next items are the reports. We have ZBA report by Ms.
That
Otto.
was already approved in the consent agenda.
No, it wasn't.
You had it up here, zoning administration
I
report.
don't see any zoning in here.
This is ZBA. This is, now we're
Oh.
into the reports and updates.
Okay.
But thank you for this memo with what.
Well, I think it was requested that we give reports,
Yes.
and that's what it was. And I see that the people that requested it don't have it, so don't have theirs, so.
Why? We'll explain that.
I don't have any. Do you have any?
But we do not have a meeting for this month.
Okay, thank you. All right, the next one is the Planning Commission report.
Well, the Planning Commission met with the Board of Trustees, so everybody was here, so I don't know that I have much to report other than what you heard already, but, and it's in the minutes, so it's provided.
Thank you. All right, Parks and Rec.
Okay,
Ms.
Parks and
Bellinger.
Rec, they canceled the November meeting. The next regular meeting will be December 21st at 7 p.m. I could mention that for trunk or treat, I understand $105 was spent on the Porta-John for one day, and the trash bins were $69.50. Thanks.
Okay. But the trash bins are reusable, I think. Yes, thank you.
I believe so.
Okay. The next item is the Land Preservation Committee.
So we do have logistically, so we meet the Thursday, the day the packages they go out. So the Land Preservation Committee meeting is on the Thursday, the day the packages are, but we don't meet until 7 o'clock. So I can put it in a mailbox on Friday morning, and then I could take it to Mr. Dockett Friday, or it doesn't, or I'm always a month behind, or I have to verbally give it. So would everybody be okay if I put it in the mailbox on Friday?
That would be fine.
And then, Mr. Dockett, if I can deliver yours on Friday for the land preservation report.
Okay.
Because we meet that Thursday when they're due, and then they're,
Yeah, if you called me and told me it was in my box, I could come and get it if it's too much trouble.
well, either way, how's that?
Yeah, yeah.
Or maybe I'll come get
Okay,
it. So
but we don't have any of that in.
that's correct, because again, it happens the day
Okay.
the package is due.
All right, thank you.
So going forward, we'll write something up, and then we'll put it in the mailboxes on Friday, so if you happen to pick up your packages or not. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Yeah, sometimes I pick it up on Thursday night.
Right.
Yeah.
So
All
if
right.
you do.
Thank you very much.
But with that, there was a meeting on November 9th. The bylaws were reviewed, and we need some clarification, and Sue Shink and David Perry, Ms. Otto will be in contact with you for some clarification on that. We're planning on having a public forum on February 8th, which is one of our days for our regular meeting. More to be determined on that and what it will entail. And then there's a land preservation for local governments, as Ms. Chalkley has sent out, and that's November 17th, which is this Friday at 10 to 11:30 at the Scioto Township Hall.
All right.
And I did ask if it was going to be recorded, because they have it in the middle of the day.
Right, I did contact Chris Olson, and she said, oh, they hadn't thought about that, but they're looking into it.
Okay.
So at least the minutes will be available. I believe they're going to take minutes, but she's looking into that.
If you come by, I'll have a Snickers for you.
And if anybody has any questions, they can send them to you,
I'm
and you can
going.
ask, yeah.
I believe several members of the Land Preservation Committee are going to go also.
Okay, I sent my list.
I saw your list. Okay, thank you. All right, financial treasurer's report.
The financial report showing our total investments and checking account. Is there any questions? Again, we are still looking at potentially changing our bank So we've been talking to different banks. With I've included both the office staff as well as our township manager.
And then our fund balance is at 45%?
That would be the budget. Says it's at 45%. The amended budget is at 45%. We did have a conversation. Yes, the fund balance. Okay, so you have the fund balance report. I'll just go through. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns. The 2015-16 activity is showing you where the balance was at that point, and then the amended budget for 2016 and 17. And then you have the activity through 6/30/17, which is again 2016 and 17. So to me, the best number at this point in time is to look at where our budgeted was, because as you can see in the activity through October, it's at 224%, which is just because of it's at a point in time. So to me, the true number, or a good number at this point, is the amended budget 2017-18. 45. Yeah. Yes. And then there will be budget amendments coming. We're waiting for after the audit occurs. There will be some adjusting entries, and then budget amendments will be coming based on some of the comments, I believe.
Okay.
Mr. Dockett.
Is the 2016-17 was 31%, and the 17-18 is 45%. Is that actual? I'm just looking for the actual.
The amended budget is not actual.
Okay. How do we get the actual? I mean, excuse me.
Right now, the actual is what you see through on column 3, which is saying 31%. I'm expecting, and we could see if there won't be after the audit and some of the adjusting entries that will change.
Okay,
Is my expectation is that it'll change.
Okay, so 31 is the actual.
As of right now, ending balance of the fiscal year 2016-17. I do expect that will be revised once the journal entries are made, but we'll see.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Any other
Yeah,
comments?
thanks for clarifying that, because I was kind of also trying to guess.
So I'm thinking it'd be best to get rid of some of like the amended budget of 2016-17. Maybe not. I think that one, but I think the activity for 2015-16 would be good.
I'm interested in the actual.
Yeah, I know it's a tough one at this point in time, because the numbers you get the revenue coming in, and then you get more expenses. And what we really do need to do eventually, I would say, is that we need to have a calendarized budget. Right now we straight line it, meaning we put the same amounts and the same amounts for everything. We need to say, yep, we get our state revenue sharing this month, we get taxes on this month, we have these expenses on these months. So then it would be the activity year to date would be a better view of where we are.
Well, it might be a better view, but I like the actual.
I know that.
Okay.
That's what I'm after.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're going to talk about this. Can I ask about this?
Sure. Got to help me out where you are.
That's on the back of this thing.
With the general fund part on the back page,
Okay.
where it says Cablevision, $98,000. So does that mean that's what we collect from the cable company each year? Or what is that, 98,000?
That's the franchise fees.
Excuse me?
That's the 5% franchise fees.
So that is what we collect from the cable company?
That's what we can allow to charge, and we're going to discuss that tonight. Yep.
Well,
Correct.
I'm just
You're-
asking,
yeah.
is it or is it not?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, so it's nearly $100,000 we get.
That's correct.
Okay, so that's what we're going to discuss.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
And I'm glad to see that the rental income from Barker Road is on here at nearly $10,000 a year. But I'm disappointed that the fire hall on North Territorial, this board voted 2 or 3 months ago for us to know about, start keeping track of this, and I don't see it anywhere in here, and so I want to know about that.
It wasn't the rental from the
antenna.
The antenna supposed to be going towards that building?
Right. We
Yes.
when our
It is.
budget amendment goes on, then they'll establish that and put all of that money into it. We're waiting until the audit is done.
Correct.
And then there will be the budget amendments, and then there will be those line items established, and that money will be put in there.
Right, so it has to be a budget amendment. And usually we do, we can do them monthly, but typically we do them quarterly. I've talked to Ms. Patrick as well as Mr. Ains about that, waiting for the audit, making some of the entries, and then we will go forward and Ms. Patrick will put the budget amendments together for that, so that will be a separate fund,
Yes.
as you have requested, Mr. Dockett,
No.
and the board approved.
Now, does that mean that we will get that every 3 months then, or every month?
No, it will come in. You will see the numbers monthly as you do in this report, just like you do.
And it'll be on here like
Yes,
this?
yes, it will be on there as a separate
Okay,
line item.
When will that be?
I don't know what the timing
We're-
is for the budget
We're
amendments.
expecting to
Is
do
it
the
going to be
budget
December?
amendments the end of November, potentially. It's
Okay.
slated for the end of November. It could get pushed off to December.
End of
but-
November, first meeting in December. Hopefully November, so you'll be here.
There's only one meeting in December.
I know that, but you're not going to be at that one, so hopefully we get it done in December, the one you're at.
Maybe I'll fly up. Who knows? Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay, thank you. Okay. I wrote a rather extensive report. Does anyone have any questions on my report for the board? I've attended quite a few meetings and wanted to share with you all the information that I gathered at all of those. But the one item I wanted to highlight from all of my meetings for the citizens out there in Northfield Township are 2 programs that are offered through the Washtenaw County Office of Community and Economic Development that provides housing rehab and testing of furnaces and home weatherization for citizens who are financially challenged in the township. However, the eligibility guidelines are pretty generous, I would think. So I did leave some copies out there on the table if anybody needs that. They do roofs and furnaces and other inspections of homes, and it's covered. So anyway, just take a look out there, and you can also, we'll be able to get some more information. I'll have Ms. Carlisle send that out on our email newsletter. Okay. Any other questions that anyone has of my report? Okay, seeing nobody, we'll move on to the next one. It's the manager's report. Mr. Ains, would you like to speak to this?
I just wanted to highlight a couple items. First off, the new code enforcement officer has started. Janelle is an experienced code enforcement officer with Hamburg Township, and she's also worked for the Brighton Township Clerk's Office. So she is here. We are using her a day and a half a week, and we had a whole pile of items for her to start with, so she's trying to catch up on those. The other item I wanted to point out was the County Road Commission and Michigan Department of Transportation had a briefing I went to. MDOT is in the process of buying land at 8 Mile near US 23 to build a new carpool lot. It's a $1 million project. They expect to start next summer and be completed by fall. To give you an idea, it's in the area of the water tower. I think most people are familiar with where that's located. But that's a park and ride location. The other project in our township in 218 is the Road Commission shows 7 Mile Road between Pontiac Trail, which is outside of the township there, but also comes from there to the west to East Shore Drive, about that being improved in 218. So those are the two major projects. If there's any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Mr. Dockett.
Site size. Do you know how many acres it is? The reason I'm asking is the property's 25 acres, and they pay around $25,000 a year in property tax. And I'd like to know how much, we lost 400 acres on 7 Mile Road not too long ago to the Washtenaw County. So we thought that was a lot of money off on our taxes. We bought the property up by the post office. That's $23,000 a year that taxes that we're not going to get. I hate to see the county continue to take property away from the township and us lose the tax money on it, especially when that is the primo piece of property in Northfield Township, that if it was ever planted out to where it was built out, we'd get more money from that piece of property than any place in Northfield Township, in my opinion.
I did not hear an exact acreage on it. I was told it would hold about 200 cars, but I can check into that and get back to you, the board, about it.
Yeah, I'd like to have some idea of how much money we're going to lose to the county on taxes. Thank you.
Ms. Belcher, go ahead.
Is the other park and ride still going to remain there, the one at 9 Mile or 36? There's one just a mile up the road, isn't there? Do you know anything of this?
They didn't mention anything about that one. So as far as I know, it's staying.
That's a different county, and the one that they are proposing is the one that was going to replace North Territorial.
Why not put one back near North Territorial then?
They don't have
It's a
land.
few miles away from 9 Miles, only 1 mile away. Seems kind of
They use that land for the roads.
Yeah, they did.
I'm not sure their rationale, but I was just told that they had, at that point, had an option on the property, and they were going to go ahead and purchase it, I believe, this week. And so it's a done deal that way. But that's the state, not the county in this case.
Right. The state did buy it, yeah.
Well,
Like
they
Dockett said.
they don't pay taxes either.
Seems like a good waste of potentially prime real estate, particularly when, like, say, a mile up the road's a park and ride.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. The next item we have is our presentation, Municipal Employees Retirement System, and we have Tara. What's your last name, Tara? Tara Tyler.
Tara Tyler, yes.
Okay, welcome to
Thank you. Thank you for having me tonight.
Northfield Township.
I handed everybody a folder, and I wanted to review a few items in
Can
the
you get a little
folder.
bit closer, please? Thank you.
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. My name is Tara Tyler. Now I can't say my own name. Tara Tyler with the Municipal Employees Retirement System. We currently administer your defined benefit plan for your police group. With that, we do annual reviews just to let you know what other types of products we offer. And over the past year, we had reviewed a defined contribution and a 457 deferred compensation plan with your group. I met with Mr. Ains, Ms. Chalkley, and Ms. Wilson a couple times to review some different parameters of your current defined contribution, which is through John Hancock, and your 457, which is through Voya. Three things I wanted to point out in the presentation comparison. With MERS, we are a nonprofit public entity that we work with solely Michigan municipalities. So unlike your current providers who work with private sector, MERS is nonprofit. That's one of the benefits of us being able to pool our assets within our system to give you the lowest fees. And so we'll talk about fees. Another item I wanted to mention, and I'll highlight this, is with MERS, we would be the fiduciary of your plan. So if you look at page 8, There is some fiduciary responsibility with your current plan. It puts you in the yellow co-fiduciary, meaning that as the co-fiduciary of the plan, the employer, Northfield Township, does have some responsibility to oversee your investment items, investment lineup that you're offering, the selection of it, and the fees associated with that. With MERS, we take over that fiduciary responsibility to oversee the investment offerings and review the plan document that it's in compliant with IRS. So number one would be that MERS would be the plan fiduciary for your plan, for your 401A defined contribution and your 457 deferred compensation plan. So that's a highlight for the employer. As we looked into the plan investment options, typically investment lineups are streamlined, target date funds, diversified portfolios. So we did take a look at that. MERS invests about 25% of our portfolio in-house, and then the other 75% we go to money managers, just like any other provider would, to ask them what they can do for a return and what they can do for a fee. So if we look at the comparison, I would like to start on page 14 to highlight a couple things. With MERS pooling, we don't rate your individual group. You're a part of our system, and so everybody gets the same fees. You can see since 2012, we've been able to decrease our fees about 34%. That's for two reasons. Our pool is growing, and the other one is we ask our money managers to give us the lowest rates possible rather than being commissioned or for profit. And so that is, as of today, the average fee within our investment lineup is 44 basis points. Now looking at detail specific to your group, if we flip to page 16, we were provided an overview of what John Hancock currently offers in your defined contribution plan. So looking at the two components of the expenses, we saw an average fee within their lineup was about 1.26%. And when we compared those to the average fees of MERS, the average fee is 0.51%, a difference of 0.75%. And so that is fees alone with the current offerings of what is offered to your participants. 457, your current Voya plan, the two components average out to be 1.67%, and MERS averages out to be that 0.51 again, because our investment offerings within both plans are the same.
What page are you on now?
I'm still on page 16. I'm just on the second chart. The bold part where it says Voya average total fund is 1.67.
Okay.
MERS is 0.51, a difference of 1.16. So looking at that, we wanted to take a deeper look at utilization. What do your participants actually utilize?
Oh, I don't know about what's in there.
So if we flip to page 17, we were able to see what participants utilize in your John Hancock plan. And the fees that they're getting assessed in your John Hancock plan are 1.24%. And to put that in perspective, if they had $1,000, they would be charged $12.40. Compares to MERS 60 basis points, which would be $6 on 1,000. So more than half. So the difference of 0.64%. Again, this is what your participants are actually utilizing with John Hancock versus if they were with MERS. And then we also wanted to take a quick look at performance. Typically performance is about the same. We're all investing in the same stock market, same bonds. But we did take a look at the 1, 3, and 5-year performance of what your participants were utilizing. So with John Hancock, the average plan actually lost about 0.61%. And if they were utilizing those same fees, same investment options with MERS, they would have made 1.46%, which would have gained them about 2%.
Are you in this book here?
We have different numbers,
yeah. Where are you?
Would somebody, could you get it out of the folder from Mr. Dockett so he can follow along?
Well, why are we, this is
following.
what was in my packet.
Right.
Why are we got something that wasn't in the packet? I don't understand that.
I handed out folders with an updated presentation of a couple charts.
It will help you follow along, Mr. Dockett, if you go to the color copy.
No, it won't, because I get this in my packet. This is what I can't come in here and sit down and then look at something else and try to understand it.
The numbers in
If
your
we're going to
packet
use
are,
that, why wasn't it in the packet, is all I'd like to know.
the numbers in your packet are still in the packet. That was actually page 16.
So what page would it be on the black and white?
I don't have a copy of that. I didn't provide that to you. I think it was carved out from an initial
Well,
meeting
why
that we
wasn't
had.
this provided to us before, tonight, sitting here?
I brought that today.
Well, that doesn't help us when we get our packet on Thursday. And
I'm sorry.
now we're here tonight, and we got something that I haven't seen. Maybe the other people did,
Here.
but I didn't.
It's different. It is here.
I'm just trying to follow the thing, you know?
I was contacted by one of your trustees to add specific information based on utilization.
What I wanted to see was I wanted to see a comparison of the returns. So I did add that, but I, was thinking we just get a separate
Page
slide
17.
because I wanted to see the comparison of the returns. So we have a comparison of the fees, and I asked to have a comparison of the returns.
Okay.
But didn't ask for a whole new package. Was just expecting a comparison of returns.
The presentation I brought actually only had one extra chart. So we've already reviewed the chart in the black and white, and we can go back to the originals if you'd
Yes,
like.
I think
so
that
we
would probably
just
be good.
won't have the information that you had requested.
Yeah. If you can just direct me to the information I requested, that would be helpful.
That would be fine.
So what page would that be in the colored package?
17, right?
Do you want me to go back to the color package?
I just want to know the additional information that I asked. Where would I find that?
Yeah, that was the page we were reviewing on page 17.
Then that's all we need to know.
Yes.
And then I would go through the black and white package.
Okay. Let me go back on the black and white just to go over that initial chart again, which is actually what we reviewed, which are your current fees for
Yes,
your
and what
gen-
page would that be?
Yes, page 15.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So this is showing you your current fees that you are assessed as a participant if you are in your John Hancock defined contribution plan. It's showing the average fee for John Hancock is 1.26%. And if you were utilizing the MERS investments, the fee would be 0.52%. In the fee comparison for the 457, which is your VOIA plan, your fees are about 1.67% as an average total, and if you were with MERS, 0.52%. So this chart does not have the investment difference that you had requested, it just has a fee.
That's
So we
fine.
were really highlighting the fees in our initial comparison, that you can see the fees are about 3 times more with John Hancock and your VOIA plan. And so we wanted to put this in perspective of how it would affect a participant, knowing that your current participants receive 10% from the employer into the defined contribution. They are required to put 5% into the defined contribution, and we assumed that somebody wanted to take advantage of their 457, which is voluntary, and they put 5% in it. So this person over time started investing at age 30, earning $42,000 a year, and at the end of their career, they were getting ready to retire at age 62. If they were with John Hancock, they would have the $796,000. With VOIA, they would have $243,000. If they were with MERS, defined contribution, they would have $933,000. And if they were MERS 457, they would have $311,000 more. Or excuse me, $311,000 in their account.
And you're on page 27, is that correct?
16.
16, you're still on 16? Okay. 16. On 16.
This chart is showing you that with fees alone, assuming the plans invest the exact same return, with MERS having the lower fees, this participant would have $204,000 more.
Thank you.
So that is when this person gets ready to retire. If we go to page 17, this person's now dispersing their accounts to themselves equally. With MERS, they would be able to pay themselves $5,697 a month out of their defined contribution plan and $1,899 out of their 457. With John Hancock and Voya, they would be able to pay themselves $4,518 and $1,326 until both of those funds are depleted. With the John Hancock and Voya, assuming those fees are going to remain the same in both the plans that we reviewed, they would have a shortfall of $1,752 a month with fees alone. So those are the three charts that I was asked to present, was to review the fees, how it affects a participant, and what it would look like for an employer with the fiduciary responsibility. This packet does go on to reiterate our customer service, working with our employer on reporting, offering education and snapshot reports to our employees, and assisting them in preparing for retirement.
I got a question. How many employees do we have on the current plan?
I believe all our police are on MERS right now, so we're only switching, it would be...
No, I meant on the John Hancock and Voya plan.
I think there's
1,
12.
2, no, on the John. I don't know. Mr. Ains, do you know? I think it's just the office staff that are switching over. Oh, 4. Oh, okay, so nine employees will be switching over to MERS. Wastewater treatment? Okay, so that's 12. Okay, 12.
You know, what you're trying to do is make the continuity of having the same program, the police, available to the other employees. And by having one program, it makes it simpler to manage. And then in addition, as she's tried to demonstrate, there's a better return and less fees. So for all those reasons, we recommend that you go ahead and approve switching the employees over to MERS.
Okay. Well, if there's no more questions, we could entertain a motion.
So the next question is, when is, because I know open enrollments now for health plans, do they have until January 1st to make their changes?
No, it doesn't necessarily coincide with open enrollment unless
Okay.
you want it to. It would be a plan transfer, so the employer terminates their existing plan, and we work with John Hancock and Voya to transfer the assets. So really the participants don't have to do any type of electing, because all they're doing is just changing the provider name for them.
Okay.
There's a 30-day notice that we need to give to John Hancock,
Yes.
and then we'd be switched over.
And Voya?
And Voya too?
Yes.
Okay.
Is there any loss of fees from switching from one to another for the a participant? Is there any loss of money at all?
Any loss of money?
Yeah.
No.
For the employees?
Yeah.
Transferring the assets
Right.
from plan to plan. No, when we do the deconversion with John Hancock and Voya, we ask them if they have like a 90-day surrender charge of any new money that would be in an investment. Maybe 1 out of 5 we've seen that there could be a charge, and typically we just tell them to hold that portion of those assets until the 90-day period falls off to avoid any fees.
Okay.
Okay. Ms. Bellinger.
To curiosity, how long has MERS been in operation, and how many people are on the board and so forth?
Oh yeah, great question. MERS has been established for over 60 years. We were originally part of the state of Michigan. We have a 9-person board made up of 3 employers, 3 employees, 2 investment advisors, and 1 retiree. We have over 800 municipalities throughout the state of Michigan that participate in at least one of our retirement plans.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, I would like to make a motion that we change, that we discontinue Voya and John Hancock and change over to MERS as the township's retirement plan provider.
I'll support.
So we have a motion by Chalkley and support by Otto. Any more discussion? Mr. Dockett.
I guess I'd like to know what the cost of this is to the township, or does, I mean, I know we have a matching fund, is that correct?
Correct. So there's no cost to administer the plan for the township, so we don't give like a monthly or quarterly bill to the township. Currently, the township is contributing 10% to a group of people in the defined contribution. A cost would come in if you use a third-party administrator, if there's an in-between person.
And this, when it's paid out, is the money that's been saved in the account. It doesn't cost, in other words, it's not going to cost the township $100,000 for somebody when it comes time to retire. Is that?
No, because you're paying the 10% while they're employed. So
That's
you're
what I
giving
mean.
them
So it's a self. So it's the money's taken out each paycheck or whatever, so that when they retire, we don't have a large bill to pay. That's what I'm trying to get at.
correct.
Is that correct?
Correct. The account balance that is in that
Excuse me?
The account balance that is associated with that participant when they leave employment is their savings account
Yeah.
to live off of retirement,
Okay,
but
yeah.
there's no additional employer legacy costs
From
associated
the
with that.
township.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
Just was talking to several employees to get a feel. So the majority would like to go to MERS. I mean, there are a few that wouldn't, but just to get the thoughts of the employees on that. Just thought I'd add that.
Did we ask anybody at the library as well? And at the wastewater treatment?
Just in
Yeah.
general, yes.
yeah.
We had a meeting with the wastewater.
Come up,
You gotta
come up, Ms. Wilson.
Last year when Howard was here, we had a meeting with the employees in the office and the wastewater treatment plant. Zaley, I believe, couldn't attend at the time, but she is aware that we are switching over to MERS, and everybody that was in the meeting agreed that we should switch.
Okay. Okay. All right, can we have a roll call?
Otto.
Yes.
Chockley.
Yes.
Chick. Yes. Docket.
Yes.
Bellinger.
Yes, do we actually have a motion and all that? I
Yes,
don't
we
remember.
did.
It's been a while ago. Okay, thank you. Yes.
Manley, yes. Zelenak.
Yes.
Okay, that passes 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you for your time and my apologies on the presentation confusion.
Nope, but thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Okay.
Terry.
Thank you, Christina.
Yeah. I see our chief of, Sergeant Smith is here, and our, let's see, fire chief is here too. Are you staying for any particular item that we could move up so you can get out of here?
I think I'm here for,
They're hiring some people.
You're,
Andrew Haynes, in case he has some questions for upstairs.
oh, okay, okay.
Can I ask one
Would you ask
question?
them to speak
Okay.
into the mic, please?
It's okay, it's okay. It was just a quick question from me, Mr. Dockett. Ms. Otto?
What is MERS rating? What is MERS rating?
Rating.
Oh, we are a credit company. We're
You're nonprofit, so you guys aren't rated at all?
correct. Yeah,
Okay.
we're not subject to ERISA or credit ratings.
Okay, thank you. Okay, well, we'll move on here to the next item, which is a presentation by Burnham and Flower, and we have Mr. Jack Schmitz here tonight, and this is about 2018 health insurance plans.
Hello, thank you for inviting me here. Going over the healthcare insurance renewal. In December is your medical renewal. Every year during the month of December, you receive your medical renewals. We were looking at an increase this year. What I've seen is about an average of an increase over I probably have about 100 municipalities that I work with in townships. And it's been kind of about an 8.5% average this year. Both of your plans are averaging a 6.14. When we looked at the different plans, I had several meetings with the township. Steve and I have talked quite a few times, had quite a few emails going back. And one of the things that's kind of restricted it is there's a couple things. Number one, with your health savings account, you have 2 health savings account plans right now for the employees. The one, kind of a base plan, is a $6,350 health savings account. That is the cheapest plan that Blue Cross Blue Shield provides. Your other plan, the way that it's rated as far as the cost for the employees and the contribution from the township into their health savings accounts, basically makes those two plans about the same price. So even though in theory the one plan is more expensive, the way it's priced to the employees and contributed, it makes them basically the same. So you're already in kind of the cheapest plan Blue Cross Blue Shield offers. What I could do and what I did show is HMO options. That would drop the price down. So right now you're in a PPO, a preferred provider organization. A PPO means basically in a nutshell, you can go in network and pay less, or you can go out of network and you're going to pay double. With an HMO, it's only in network. So you have to go in network. If you want to see a specialist, you have to get a referral to go out of network. Since it's more restrictive, it's a little cheaper. So really the only thing I could show you outside of what your current plans are an HMO or different carriers. We looked at the HMOs, but the reality right now is you have a collective bargaining agreement with the police officers that it's this plan until at least June 30th. So as we looked at that, based on the restrictions of that, and knowing that we're in a collective bargaining agreement, looking at the 6.14, we were recommending that you stay with the current plan for the time being, at least until June 30th, that we could look at different options.
Okay.
So that was kind of the first thing. Then if you want to stop there, but there's also a couple other things that we looked at as well. So one of the things that we're looking at is how do we save money? The increase, when I say it's a 6.14, sounds simple enough. That was about an increase of $12,379. So it is going up there to keep the exact same plans. When Mr. Hans and I talked, and Ms. Marlene and I talked quite a few times about different things that you can do, one of the things that you can do, and one of the things that we looked at, is your cash in lieu of coverage. It's referred to as a cash in lieu of coverage. Sometimes it's referred to as a bonus to opt out. But what you're paying employees to opt out of the insurance, to incent them to maybe look at their spouse's plan or other plans, is one way to drop your cost. So with the average area, the non-police officer employees, you're paying $1,500 right now for cash in lieu of coverage, $1,500 for a year. Really, that's not giving me a lot of incentive to go look at a spouse's plan or a different plan. With the police officers, you're paying $4,000. So one of the things we kind of talked to the three of us and different individuals is increasing the non-police to the same amount as the police, taking that up to $4,000 from $1,500 a year to $4,000. If you looked at two individuals that would consider leaving if their cost went up to $4,000, there's two individuals that are 65.
It's $4,500, isn't it?
I'm sorry?
It is $4,500 for the police department, isn't that right?
Mr.
Yes,
Dockett,
it's in here.
when I put it out, I said 4,500 because I thought that was the number, but the police department advised me that their contract was actually 4,000, and I did go back and check the contract, so I did make an error that way. So it is 4,000 for the police to opt out.
Well, I'm reading off the paper here.
And
Right.
Mr. Haynes contacted me around 3 or 4 o'clock today and let me know, because my notes had that originally. So if you're looking at, there's two individuals that their premiums on this two individuals, because the other problem is before 2014, I want to get too deep in the woods and trying to understand time or appreciate time, but before 2014 with the Affordable Care Act, everybody's price was the same. If I was a single person, whether I was 24, I was 64, we had the same single rate. A couple had the same couple rate, a family had the same family rate. In 2014 with the Affordable Care Act, it's all age-based. So if I'm a 21-year-old and you're giving me $1,500, that might be enough for me to go and look elsewhere. If I'm a 64-year-old or a 65-year-old, that's not going to give me enough because my price is now based on my age. So we looked at two individuals. You have two individuals that are more mature of age that you're paying $21,714 on. Or you could have paid them $9,000 and maybe they would leave. So it's a $21,000 plus as opposed to $9,000. The idea is to offer enough to incent that everybody looks, and everybody has to be treated equally. You can't do it based on age, you can't do something like that, but if you increase the amount for the non-police to the same as the police, that $4,000, that might give enough incentive to really wash away this increase I just talked about, just on two individuals.
So let's talk apples to apples, because I don't think everybody understands what you mean by other plans, because other plans could be the exchange, that they can go out to the exchange, and if they do go out to the exchange, they're not getting the same type of coverage that they would be getting here.
Yeah, and I'm not really, for me personally, I'm not talking about the exchange.
Okay.
Because the exchange, if your employer is offering a health plan, even if I decline it, if I go on the exchange, I cannot get a government subsidy. So the main reason to go on the exchange is to get a government subsidy.
Okay.
I can go on an individual and get an individual plan that's not on the exchange, and it's pretty much the exact same plan. The only real advantage of the exchange is getting the subsidy. So really what I'm talking about is different plans, such as going on a spouse's plan. That's the main reason for cash in lieu of coverage. There's other individuals that might be Medicare eligible that they're looking at. Maybe a Medicare supplement might be a better plan.
Yeah, but the people in our office that are on the plans are on there for a reason. They may not have spouses, and they may not have spouses that have coverage. So the other thing I wanted to say is there is a big difference between PPO and HMO.
Absolutely.
PPO, even though the cost is high for the employer, it's low for the employee. HMOs cost high for the employee because it's a lot of out-of-pocket costs. Because you're going from one primary to a specialist, you're having to pay twice now for out-of-pocket costs. So the out-of-pocket cost for HMOs is high. Blue Cross and Blue Shield is known to your first year in Blue Cross and Blue Shield is low, your second year, third year, fourth year, you start getting pay hikes. They're very well known for it.
Oh, I represent everybody. I'm not Blue
I
Cross
know.
Blue Shield I represent Party Health. I
I
represent
used to
HAP.
work for Blue
Yeah,
Cross, so
yeah,
I
yeah.
understand how they work. So,
Yeah, and that's like I said, I think the reality of this with the collective bargaining agreement, you really cannot move right now. So it's then how do we look at other ways to try to negate that increase? And one of the ways to get rid of that or wash that increase is there's two individuals that have pretty much said that if they got $4,000 as opposed to the $1,500, they think they would look at a different plan. Just looking at that two individuals, as I mentioned earlier, their premium on these two individuals is $21,700. Or you pay $9,000, $4,000 each. I'm sorry, $8,000, $4,000 each. So you're saving them $19,000. That's one of the easy ways as an employer that they can offer cash in lieu of coverage.
Well, wouldn't this be kind of incentivizing them to actually go for a lesser quality product in the end?
It's going to ultimately be up to them. Every employer, not every employer, but if employers offer this, it's always up to the different each employees. When I was first at Bergman Flower, they offered us several $100s a month if we took cash in lieu of coverage. I looked at my wife's plan, that several $100s more than paid for it. I had a little money in my pocket, and it was a better plan. So they used to get upset that I did the benefits and I opted out, but you don't have to do what I do to kind of figure that one out. The other thing you have to keep in mind, though, is the cash in lieu of coverage. When you're paying that $4,000, or if you're paying that $1,500, that's taxable income. So if you're giving me $4,000, I'm still paying tax on it. So it's not like I'm taking the whole $4,000. It's a taxable income. So I'm paying my normal tax bracket. So it has to be high enough to at least give me an option that maybe it's going a different plan. If it's not a good enough plan, then I'll stay on your plan. You're not forcing anybody off the plan, and nor can you legally. It's just giving everybody a equitable, even so you're not into discrimination. You're not giving some people higher. And with a union, non-union, you can do that. But if you were saying, okay, this group of people, we're going to pay this, or this group, we're going to pay lesser, you can't do that. Everybody has to be given the same or be considered discrimination.
Oh, go ahead, Ms.
How many employees do we have taking advantage of our?
That's my question, too. How many have opted out?
I don't have that information.
Do we?
Because we only have information based on who's in the plan.
Yeah, we asked about that. In the police department, it's our understanding there's between...
That's required because it's a contract.
It's under the contract, but there's between 4 and 5, I think. In the regular employees, nobody has taken the $1,500. Nobody has opted out, which I think demonstrates that the $1,500 isn't an incentive to opt out.
Or they need to cut the insurance.
So
Right.
the non-union employees, how many are there that have insurance coverage?
You're full-time people, so you've got 5 at the wastewater plant, 1 at the community center, and 3 in the office.
So we're talking 9 at 4,000.
And I will say HMOs for the patient is more difficult. It's much more of a hassle and can often delay treatment because you have to go through so many hoops. And you often don't get to see the doctor that you had if you had a PPO before then. So.
Yeah, and the HMO, like I said, that's a whole different complex, and it did generate a large savings, but we didn't think it was realistic at this point in time to even
Well,
really
there was a
consider it.
$26,000 savings between the PPO plans and what, because I had you run the
And the
numbers.
HMO, correct.
Yes, there's $26,000 savings, and the
But it
coverage
costs
limits.
the employee more to have an HMO. That's what I'm trying to say, out of pocket.
But it would, no, all of the deductibles, the coinsurance, the out-of-pocket max, it's all the same as what our PPO
No,
plans are.
you're just doing it more often. That's the difference with an HMO. So if I wanted to go to,
The
if I wanted to
problem,
go to a cardiologist or a
Right.
dermatologist,
You'd have to go see your doctor. and
you'd
get
have
a
to go to
referral.
your primary first, pay your copay,
And then get
then
the
go
referral.
to your dermatologist,
Yeah.
pay your copay. So you're paying more. You are paying more out of pocket.
Which is
More
more,
often.
which is more costly for the, could you go through that just one more time, because you got a lot of experience with this, PPO and HMO, which is more costly for the consumer and/or the employee?
An HMO is really more costly for
Yeah, the
consumer.
HMO is going to be cheaper in overall premium, so cheaper for the employer, and it's cheaper, basically you're giving up your freedom of choice. So I can go in-network or out-of-network, so it's called managed care because you have to go to the primary care physician, and they're going to say, yes, you can go see a specialist, which is Mrs. Otto's point that you're paying once for the primary care physician, then you're paying a second time to see the specialist. Or they could say no. I mean, they can say that we're going to do it here or not refer you to a specialist. So that's one of the downsides of the HMO. The upside is cheaper, generally, for the in premiums.
So for the customer, for the employee, they would prefer a PPO.
But you give up care.
But do you give up care with a PPO?
No, HMO.
No, with the HMO.
Okay.
HMO.
A PPO is what I would like as an employee.
If cost
But it
isn't an
costs the
issue,
employer more.
if cost isn't an issue, which is always an issue, but if
Okay.
cost is an issue, generally they prefer a PPO.
Okay,
If cost
thanks.
is always an issue.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Oh.
at this time, if I could say, we're not asking for a change,
No, we're
Yeah.
recommending we keep the current plans.
and if
We
we
really
wa-
have to until June 30th.
And if we were going to talk about the other alternative, it would be in the context of the union negotiations, which I assume would involve discussing with the board what parameters you wanted to get into. And if you didn't want to get into that, we wouldn't even broach the issue. So, nothing's been talked about beyond, I talked a couple times to the union president. There was no indication they wanted to do anything at this time. And so it's not proposed to change at all at this time.
No, really all we're proposing this time is that increase to the 4,000 from the 1,500 for the non-police to
Right.
at least offer an incentive to make them consider dropping going 2 hours of coverage. Yes, Mr. Dockett.
Mr. Duck.
I don't understand a lot of this, or
Okay.
I might be
You're
asking
not
the
alone.
wrong question, but I've talked to a couple of young people, and they said, well, no, for $4,000, I'm healthy. I'm not going to get sick. I'll take the $4,000 and go on vacation or buy a car or pay for their apartment. Is Obama still deal in there? That
The Obamacare is still in there, but
They get fined if they don't. I mean,
Yeah, so-
if somebody wants to opt out, how do we know they got insurance somewhere else? Or what's our responsibility?
It's a very good question. What my employers do that do the coverage opt-out is they require proof of insurance elsewhere.
Okay.
So that negates it. So if I'm going to opt out, and I used to do that at Berman Flower, I had to show them that I had coverage with my spouse, and then I'd get the cash in lieu of coverage or bonus to opt out. So that's the easiest way to take care of that issue is you're going to require proof of insurance elsewhere.
And you actually get a paper from...
Yeah, a card or a certificate or something. Generally, it's a copy. I just made a copy of my Blue Cross Blue Shield ID card that I had through my spouse.
Because otherwise, young people
Yeah.
that, or one told me, my folks pay for my insurance, I mean, so,
Correct.
so that's a problem.
Yeah,
But I
no,
wonder...
that's an issue. You'd want to make sure they have coverage, and that's what my employers, I don't think it's mandated, and it could be federal law, I don't think it is.
Okay.
But all of my employers require proof of insurance
Okay,
elsewhere.
but about the $4,000, what I got to say about that, I don't think anybody's gonna opt out unless their spouse has a better plan. And I don't think we should give them, I would not. I
There's a
won't
couple
vote
individuals that-
For $4,000, I'm not gonna vote for that myself personally.
There's a couple individuals that have indicated they would, and those are the more mature ages. So,
They can
Well,
go
I
on to
noticed in here
Medicare.
you use the two people together. I don't understand why you did
As I just said, there was a couple people that indicated they would. So there's two people that indicated they would
okay.
heavily
So that's
consider it.
why
I'm
you-
not saying
that's
I'm
why
not
you-
guaranteeing they're going to do it. They would
That's
have to
why
do-
you combined the two.
That's why I combined the two.
Because I figured, well, why are you doing that?
Yeah. So there was there may be more than two. There could be less than two, but people indicated if they had the 4,000, they would opt out.
Right. I asked the question about shouldn't we require, or can we require someone that could sign up for Medicare to go on Medicare, so that the township wouldn't have to pay all of the, the health coverage.
And
And
that's what I'm-
apparently that isn't something we can do.
You cannot, so I don't want to get too lengthy, but the
Yeah.
federal law says that there's secondary payer rules, and it's based on Medicare. So if you have under 20 employees, Medicare is going to pay first, your plan's going to pay second. So the government doesn't care if you pay or incent me to go on Medicare, because either way, Medicare is paying first if I'm under 20 employees. If you're over 20 employees, your plan pays first, and then Medicare pays second. So Medicare is not going to allow you to incent or give extra money or pay directly to Medicare because they don't want Medicare to pay first. They want your plan to pay first. The way to work within those framework and within those rules is the cash in lieu of coverage. So if you have two 65-year-olds that would like to go on Medicare that might have a premium something similar to what I just showed you, and they $8,000 would pay for it, $4,000 each, and I'm showing you a premium similar to those if they were 65, that might be the situation. But we cannot incent 65-year-olds to go off and go on Medicare because that's against the law. You can give them the same $4,000. We can't say, okay, we're going to give everybody else $4,000, but since you're 65, I'm giving you $7,000.
We're
That's
giving
exactly-
everyone else 15, don't say 4,000.
But the $1,500 would not take care of the Medicare supplement, so it's not going to incent them to go on, so they're going to stay on your plan for the $17,000.
Right, and it'll cost us more money.
Yes.
Right.
It's going to cost us for 4,000 too.
It's going to save you around that
$12,000.
$12,000, yeah.
Right.
It's going to save you significantly.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that was
So
the next question, yeah, about that.
Can I ask,
Yeah, I
Ms.
just-
Zelnok, can you go ahead?
No, I just have a question. So it's June 1st is the contract for the police coming up. So this plan could be in effect until then and then potentially change. And my question too, right? So it's not like a year renewal. It's a 6 months renewal, a 30-day renewal, or a...
They're not going to change the price within the 12 months.
Okay, I
So
see.
what Blue Cross Blue Shield, and you could always go to a different carrier, but within Blue Cross Blue Shield, they'll allow what they call a change, a group-wide change, anywhere up to 5 months before the renewal.
Okay.
So we have up to 5 months before December that we're in an area that they're going to say, no, you have to wait to the renewal.
Okay.
But anytime within the year, so anytime from now until 5 months outside of the renewal, we can make a change.
I have one more question. So it is possible, though, that the township employees that are non-union could have a different plan than the union employees.
We investigated that, or that question was raised. The problem that you have is based on your size, you can only have two plans. So, and I believe you have police officers in both plans right now. So we couldn't. So if we eliminated one of the plans, let's say because the thought was maybe we'd put a PPO and an HMO in, but we'd have to eliminate one of your plans. And right now you have police officers in both plans. So I don't think under the collective bargaining agreement we could eliminate one plan right now.
Okay.
And
Can you
I would
clarify that
mention the
again?
collective bargaining agreement is up July 1st. It goes with your fiscal year.
Okay.
Wait, I'd like to hear Lenore's question again. I want to understand this,
Uh,
please.
So it is possible, though, that the police could stay in the PPO, and then the township employees
Could
be
have
in
an HMO.
a
correct.
HMO.
Yeah, it's
So that
called-
was really my, so we
yeah,
could
you
have
can,
two.
You can have that. You're allowed to have two plans.
Right.
Right now, you have two PPO options. But
Right.
you could have one PPO and one HMO. Yes.
Correct.
We just can't offer three plans.
Right.
So we could eliminate one of those plans to introduce the HMO.
Right.
Yes.
And so again, the non-union could have an HMO plan. The union would continue with their PPO as according to the contract.
Yes, you could.
And so did we investigate potential HMOs?
Yes.
Yeah, I've got a spreadsheet here.
So are you
Yeah.
saying
And-
that we couldn't continue as it is right now?
I'm sorry?
Are you saying that right now, do we have a PPO and an HMO here?
No, right
for
now
our
you have a
employees?
PPO and a PPO.
Okay.
So you have two PPO plans. What we're saying is if you wanted to make one of those an HMO, you could.
But you're
I'm
saying
still,
that if it was a PPO, everybody then would have to get into a union?
no.
Regular employees?
No, everybody
No,
could pick
okay.
between the PPO and the HMO.
Okay,
We would just have
regardless
to,
of
we'd have to
union.
determine what PPO we want to eliminate, and that's what I'm saying could be
Oh.
sticky,
Okay, thank you.
is which plan are you going to eliminate, and is that going to cause obstacles?
There's advantages to the employees. Some of them want one PPO and one want another. As I understand it, for instance, those that are using a lot of medications would be hurt if they went to a different plan.
Correct.
So one plan is good for people who don't use a lot of prescriptions, and one plan is good if you do have a lot of people using prescriptions. So
The health savings
employees have a
accounts
choice.
have a high deductible, and then you're funding a large part of that deductible, but also employees can put money in. So there's one plan kind of selected for people that have a heavy utilization, so it's not costing them a lot of out-of-pocket. There's another plan selected for people that don't expect to go to the doctor a lot and want to build up their health savings account and roll money over. So I said that the difficulty, it's not that we can't do it, we can put an HMO, but the difficulty is which plan are you going to remove, and is that going to cause disruption in those employees?
Okay. All right, have we had enough discussion on this? Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we change the cash incentive for all employees to $4,000.
I'll support.
Okay, motion by Chockley, support by Chick.
And I want to reiterate that they do have to prove they have insurance before they accept this? Okay, great, thank you.
Yep, that's your employer decision,
Yeah, I would recommend that.
Yeah.
that wording.
Yes. Okay, motion by Chockley, support by Chick to change the non-cash incentive for all employees to $4,000 with the caveat that when they take the $4,000, they prove that they are enrolling in insurance.
Provide proof of insurance elsewhere.
Yes, okay. Roll call vote, please.
I'd just like, again, to let people know, currently no one is opting out in the township office with the 1,500.
Right.
So it's not like right now someone's taking 1,500, we go to the 4,000, and then it's an extra cost. Right now it's none, and by people opting out, it could potentially save the township number, but it's not going to increase it.
But I will let you know that some employers do not have opt-out clauses.
Right.
You know, my employer
Mine
does.
didn't.
I mean, I had an opt-out clause at Ford, it was $900, but what also other employers are doing now is that if your spouse has insurance,
They want to take it.
your spouse has to take
Right.
their insurance, and you take your company's insurance, so they're no longer letting you
Carry somebody.
carry somebody that has insurance, so
We
I've
do
seen
have-
that trend
We do have a
happening.
handful of townships doing that as well.
Pardon me?
We do have a handful of townships doing that as well.
I've seen that happening in the industry. I think Eastern's doing it, U of M's starting to look at it. Ford was the same way, is that if
I
you different
saw
have
that
people-
start in the Grand Rapids area.
Yeah, they just haven't
Big
done
Munson
that for
Hospital
her
started it,
retirees
and a
yet.
lot of the municipalities have followed suit.
They have.
Is this on the opt-out,
But
or
thank
is
you.
this on something else?
I just wanted to make
Opt-out.
those
Opt-out.
comments. Thank you.
This is the opt-out
Opt-out.
now?
Yes.
Yeah, I have something to say.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Dockett.
This board is about to vote on a Public Act 152 of 2011 signed into law by the Governor Rick Snyder. This law limits the amount a public employer, the township in this, huh?
That's not what we're
We're not
talking
on the hard
about.
caps yet.
We're
No,
talking
we're
about
not.
the $4,000.
No, we have a correction.
Okay. Yep, sorry, Mr. Dockett.
Well, I thought
I didn't think so either, I wasn't sure. You got me confused there. for a
I was
moment.
confused
So the
about what you're
opt-out
talking
was the
about.
1,500 versus 4,000.
Yeah, you're talking
This
opting
is
out of Public
only-
Act 152 as well.
Yeah.
But you're talking,
That's it.
they both have similar
That's coming.
terminology, so it gets confusing.
Yep,
that's why I asked the question.
okay, that's
I
next.
don't want to miss this.
That's right. So this
Okay.
vote is strictly
Please
for the
prepare.
4,000, right?
Yes.
Okay.
This is the 4,000. Okay, roll call vote, please.
Manley, yes. Otto?
Yes.
Dockett?
No.
Bellinger?
Yes.
Chockley?
Yes.
Zelenak?
Yes.
Chick?
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Okay.
Do you want my 2 cents on Public Act 152?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd
It-
be
And
fine.
and this is it's just a non-biased opinion. When Public Act 152, as mentioned, 2011 was put into place, that was prior to the Affordable Care Act. It was prior to age banding. It's when everybody had a single 2-person family rate. So repeating what I said earlier, if I'm 21 or I'm 64, My rate was a single rate. So the latest cost for a single, the latest hard cap for a single for 2018 is going to be $6,560.52. So that's the new hard cap for 2018. The single person, $6,560.52. When this law was enacted, again, it didn't matter if I was 64 or 24. So when I look forward, when I look up to your kind of new rates here, let me grab them quick. For a 65-year-old, the monthly premium is $905.59. For a 21-year-old, it's $211.46. So if I'm 21 on the same plan, I'm under the hard cap. But if I'm 65, I'm over the hard cap. If I'm 50, I'm $481.65, or 47. I'm getting close to that hard cap. So the hard cap is really penalizing the more mature employees based on the way the age-banded rates of the Affordable Care Act. So this law, again, was when everybody was a single two-person family. It doesn't take into any consideration the new rating structure. So the concept of it was, okay, we don't want people to have a Cadillac plan. We're going to try to keep the hard cap so it's not a Cadillac plan. It doesn't take any consideration in that I'm paying a much higher rate if I'm 55 as opposed to if I'm 25. So that's just my kind of commentary on the law and why so many people are opting out.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Dockett?
Yes.
Well, if that's the case and this is not up to date, why are we have this in front of me? Whereas the Township of Northfield Board of Trustees approved providing medical benefit plan to the township employees at the cost that exceeds the hard cap and does not require the 20% copay.
Because
That-
even
why are we? That's what we're going to vote on right
Correct,
here.
correct.
So
The
I
Michigan
think-
law still says you have to
I
vote
want to know
once.
why you say it doesn't pertain to this. This is what we're voting on.
I didn't say it didn't pertain. I said it didn't take in consideration the new rating structure. You
Well-
still have to vote as a board once a year to opt out, or if you don't pick a vote. What I'm saying is the way the pricing was structured did not take into consideration the law that changed.
I'm just saying that we are not going along with the law that is signed in the Michigan law that's signed by our government.
I understand that.
That's what I'm saying.
And I'm saying that that
And
law
that's
had no
why I'm
consideration
not
of
gonna
the age
support it.
factors.
I won't support it because that's the law is what we're voting on.
Okay, Mr.
So-
Schmitz is
So
not...
basically what you're saying, just so you understand, the current insurance rate is based on age bands, right?
Correct.
So what he's saying is that if you're at different age bands, so if you're younger, you pay less, you're at older, you pay more. The reason is because you're at risk now. You're at risk because you have more ailments, you have more issues happening to you than if you were younger and healthier. That's the difference. With this, what we're saying is we're opting out of that. We're not going to be considering age bands,
No, you're still going to have to do age bands.
but we're not
You're not gonna-
being capped by it.
You're not going to say that, you're not going to say either the employees have to pay 20% or the employees have to pay over the hard cap. So if you said, for example, that, okay, you're going to pay up to the hard cap, which is that 6,560 number, if I'm 22, I'm way below that hard cap. If I'm 50, I'm over it. If I'm 55, I'm more over it. If I'm 65, I'm way over it. So
Yeah,
I'm
so
paying,
our
I'm not paying
employees
because
would
my
be
plan's
paying
richer.
more.
I'm paying because I'm older.
Yeah, and the employees would be paying more if we had hard caps.
Correct. If you, so
This is the resolution we're voting on.
Right.
That's what I'm
Okay.
saying.
Yes,
Just-
and we already voted on this in previous years.
Right.
Yes.
This is not the first year that they've
No,
done
you have to
that.
vote on it every year under
Yep.
Michigan Public Act 152.
My question, though, is you're saying a different number than we have in our resolution for individuals, single individuals. You were mentioning 6560. Do we have an old version of a...
Let me show you, because I always carry one around because I get asked this question a lot. So
Right,
if
I
you mind if
thought
I
it-
hand it to you?
Yeah, that'd be great, because if we can correct our amounts here, although we'll probably vote to opt out of it anyway.
Mine says 6344.80.
Oh, no, that's correct. This, oh, down here, they've changed it. Okay. 2018, well, this is 2017.
So it would be the correct, I'm sorry. I'm using the 2018 to be December, so it would be 2017.
So we should use this one?
You should use the 2017.
Okay, all right, okay, thank you.
So,
All right, but it does say the 20% employee co-payment for the total cost of the plan instead of the hard cap.
Well, no, it doesn't. Mine doesn't.
Well, there's three dots. And if we're opting out,
I'm looking at the second from the last paragraph.
yeah, I'm not.
That's what I'm looking at. And I'm read it just exactly what it says on there.
Mm-hmm. It looks like it's
It probably is.
last year's, maybe updated for
Just change the
2017.
dates.
Yeah.
You've adopted the same thing for 3 or 4 years
Yeah,
now.
my knowledge is you've opted out of Public Act 152 the last couple of years. I haven't been at the last, I don't think, 2 years.
I don't care what it is, we're doing it again.
Yep, that's
That's
right.
all I'm saying.
so I had a question. So
Sure.
are we actually like, if we didn't opt out, that we would be like breaking a law?
No.
No.
Okay.
So if you don't opt out,
Employees would be paying.
the employees would have to either do the hard cap or the 20%. You would take a vote on the board, which they're going to do, either the 20% or the hard cap. By opting out, you're saying you're not going to
Charge them.
charge them. There is no consequence. In the original part, there was some, for some of the larger townships, they could have lost some funding. It's changed. So out of the 100-plus townships I work with, maybe a handful do not opt out. Most of them do opt out.
So it is rare to,
On the townships. My county road commissions, the way the law is worded, they cannot opt out.
okay, now,
They
wait,
wish
slow
they
down a
could,
little
but
bit.
they
So
can't.
it's rare for townships to opt out like we're going to?
No.
Or to not opt out?
It's rare for them not to opt out.
Oh,
Most
and,
opt out.
and there also, there is something in here that says that we're not going to get, we won't, we are going to be penalized for opting out, according to this.
There's no more penalty anymore. Then that's outdated. There hasn't been penalty for several years.
Well, it's in here.
Okay, I'm not sure who typed that.
What is the,
EVIP funds?
Yeah, there's no, you can contact MTA. There is no consequences. Michigan Township Association.
I don't think we need a new resolution, you know, for one more meeting. I don't think it's incorrect.
You have until the renewal, so you have to December 1st.
So we have one more meeting,
Okay, you'd have to vote on it that
right?
meeting.
There's nothing wrong with this resolution, though, correct?
Other than trying to check out the numbers that.
Oh,
I can't hear you. Jackie?
The only thing that I would have is the EVIP would have to be taken out and make sure that the numbers are correct. The dollar amounts are correct in here.
And I think they are, because I think I was using 2018 and
right.
Arlene was using 2017. And actually, being in December, you would use the 2017, Marlene is
17.
correct. So you would want to take out the EVIP.
Okay. So that whole paragraph that says whereas provides for penalties. Just take that
And
out.
you can take that out tonight, that
Right.
paragraph, and
Yeah.
not have to wait.
Okay. And if we don't opt out, we're in violation of the police contracts?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I move that the Northfield Township Board of Trustees opt out of the restrictions mandated by Public Act 152 of 2011 on public employers' payments for medical benefits plans. Okay, motion by Chalkley, support by Chick.
So I got a question regarding what you just mentioned about if we don't opt out, we're in violation with regards to?
Right, because we're already paying more for their health insurance than this would allow.
So,
What
Right.
would-
Yeah, go ahead.
What would be the effect?
yeah, so we legally have to because of that contract with the police.
Because
Is
the
that my
contract with
understanding?
the police, that's my understanding. Ms. Otto?
I'm looking at Mr.
Yeah.
Mintz or Ms.
Well,
I'm looking at
I would
names and
consider a violation of the contract because you would be changing the working conditions and benefits that are provided for in the union agreement, they don't have to pay 20%.
Right.
So you would be violating that, is my opinion.
Okay.
And I believe Mr. Maines would back that up.
You've got the wrong attorney here for this one.
So, I mean, kind of to Ms. Bellinger's and your comment, Ms. Chalkley,
Yeah.
it's legally we have to, based on the contract with the police. Okay.
Right.
Good
Okay.
enough? Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thanks for that question.
Can we have a roll call vote now, please?
Yep. Bellinger,
Yeah.
Docket,
No.
Zelenak,
Yes.
Chockley,
Yes.
Manley, yes. Otto? Yes. Chick?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, that passes. Thank you, Mr. Schmitz. Okay.
Mrs. Supervisor, we need to have them also do number 5, which is the approving the health care.
Pardon? Number 5? Oh, to approve the health care, yes.
Yeah, you did the hard cap and
We
you
did-
did the incentive, but not the health
We
care.
missed the health care, okay. Okay. Does anybody want to make that motion for a change? That we're going to approve the health care insurance renewal and HSA contributions as, well, we amended it, didn't we? To make a $4,000, well, the $4,000 opt-out doesn't matter. We already voted on that, okay. We're not changing those.
Have you got a 5?
Number 5. It's number 5 that you haven't voted on. You voted on number 4 and number 6.
Number 4 and number 6.
So you want to make a motion
All right.
to,
What's
So
this?
that's this part right here?
I guess so.
Okay.
Okay. I found it.
Number.
Yep.
And what is this? Is this we're paying $12,000 or more a month? Is that what that is?
I think we're down.
Yeah, I see it.
Maybe he can explain, Mr. Jack.
But it says here we're paying $1,000. We're paying $12,379 more this year than last year. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is that number 5?
I don't see, oh,
Yes, that is number 5.
okay, I see it.
And that,
Yep.
I believe, is correct. Maybe Jack could come back up and just, Schmitz, just confirm that.
Yeah, I believe that
Based
was the
on his
increase.
note.
I'm going to have to get my glasses out, but I believe that was the annual increase. That was the 6.14 I was talking about at the increase. The average has been around 85%.
I see it.
So that was increased for the 2 plans, keeping everything exactly the same. Where we had talked about, we looked at HMO options. We didn't think that was practical at this point. So
Okay.
you're already at the cheapest plan for Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO. There's really nothing to show you unless we went to Party Health or HAP or an HMO. And right now with the collective bargaining agreement,
Okay.
I don't think we can do that. So the increase was, when I find that page, but the $12,000 was correct.
now is that the total increase the township will incur
Yes.
for everything?
Yeah, and that's not including the-
$12,379.
It's only-
That's not including the employee contributions.
That's just the
So
township.
that's the overall cost. No, that's just the overall cost. So if the employees were paying, I'm not sure what they're paying right now, if they were paying 10%, then you would have 90% of that, this as an example.
Oh, okay,
So that's the entire increase, not
okay.
your increase, the entire increase.
And is that for the entire township,
Yes, it's both plans.
both plans? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make the motion to renew the current PPO health insurance plan with Blue Cross and Blue Shield, and to continue with the health savings accounts contribution, employer contribution, with the same rates as last year.
I'll support.
Okay, so we have a motion by Otto, support by Bellinger. Any more discussion?
I just have a comment. I think because we have union and non-union, it would be nice to have seen that amount of how much was impacting the contract, which we have no say over, versus maybe something that we do have some say over. So in the future, I would like to see that. data.
I would also recommend, because if our, if the union contract is going to be up in, what, the summer?
July 1st.
That we have him come back in like May, June timeframe.
We're planning on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be too interested in HAP, but I would be interested in priority health.
Okay.
And do you do Aetna at all?
Aetna is generally only about, we can offer Aetna, but they're not going to be competitive unless they're
Okay.
500
All right.
employees. They don't want the small groups.
Yep, okay.
Okay, so we have a motion by Otto, support by Bellinger. Roll call, please.
Chockley?
Yes.
Zelenak?
Yes.
Manley, yes. Otto?
Yes.
Chick?
Yes,
Bellinger?
Yes.
Docket?
No.
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you very much. Sorry about that skipping. All right, next item is the potential lease of a portion of the public safety building, the second floor. Mr. Ames, you go ahead and take this, and then I guess Mr. Smith is, Sergeant Smith is here too. So.
Yes. As you're aware, we have space on the second floor that hasn't been utilized. The chief had brought to our attention that there's a group that, a nonprofit agency that could utilize the space and would be willing to pay a lease amount for it. We did check with our bond counsel and confirmed that this would still satisfy the tax exempt status of the building, which I understand has been the barrier against other groups coming in the past. So that would not be an issue. The group would pay for the cost of any renovations that would be needed to the building. And upon vacating, if they ever left at some point, those would stay here. So it actually build out part of the second floor, and we would have the benefit of being able to use it for other purposes if they ever moved out. So what we would like to do is recommend to the board that you authorize myself and your legal counsel to begin negotiations with this party and to bring back a proposed lease for you to examine and determine if you feel like it's in the best interest of the township to proceed.
Can we have a motion first and then we can talk about it?
Yeah, I'll make the motion to,
Go ahead.
oh, you want to make the motion? Okay. I'll make the motion to authorize our township manager to move forward along with our township attorneys to draft a negotiations for negotiated contract for the rent on the second floor.
Okay.
I
so
support.
We have a motion by Otto and support by Bellinger. Discussion. Any, since you made the motion, go
Okay.
ahead, Ms. Otto.
The only thing that I would like to recommend is that any, like what we have done with the second firehouse, is any proceeds that we have from the rent on the second floor that we put into a capital fund for the building,
How about the bond?
for this building.
How about the bond for this building? Apply that money towards the bond.
You could do that too, but I would rather put it in a
Just a
capital
separate account for now.
Yeah,
Right.
put it in a capital investment account or some
Maybe we
type of a
shouldn't-
capital improvement
Yeah.
account for this building.
Right, and we can discuss that later,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
when the agreement comes, when the contract's negotiated and how we want to deal with that money, but that is a great suggestion. Okay. Ms. Bellinger.
Yeah, regarding the negotiations, I think there's, how much square footage are they talking about? What will they bring? Our concern is utilities. How will we determine, are we going to have them pay for the utilities? We ought
It's
to,
said
and
it
how will we
would.
figure that out?
It's in the memo.
It's in the memo?
Yeah.
Okay. And what kind of money does it cost typically to lease this type of a square footage in this kind of a commercial environment?
Where's it at on the memo?
It's in the top of the memo.
But yeah, having the attorney discuss this and looking out for the details is a definitely a must. a must-have situation there.
Yeah,
Do we know what the building will be used for? What the
it's basically office and storage use.
office and storage use? How many people do we expect? How many employees possibly will there be working?
I was told 8 to 10 maximum. It would vary from time to time.
Will these be officers, or do we know in what capacity?
Some would be civilians, some would be legal law enforcement people.
Okay.
Ms. Manley?
I guess I'd kind of like to see too, I don't know if you call it a site plan, but exactly what they want to do with that space, how they're going to build it out. Is it going to be offices?
have to do that anyways.
Well, yeah, exactly, but along with the lease, I mean, I don't want to sign a lease without knowing what we're going to do. Right, so.
Yeah,
Have to do
actually
that
they
anyway.
brought a builder in already,
Okay.
and I loaned them a set of the building plans. And so they're looking at how can they build it out. And so I expect we'll see that before we would be agreeing to any sort of lease.
Okay, yeah, I was just curious.
Right. And I'm sure Mr. Ainson, our attorney, will explore what appropriate rate is for rent.
Will this need to go in front of the planning commission for use for this building?
I think so.
This is a planned use development area?
Probably be the building department, right? Yeah. The inspections, you know.
Probably go to the building
Right,
department
but not
for
the planning
inspection,
commission.
but
I can't imagine.
Yeah, we'll look into that further, but
Yep.
I'm expecting them to comply with all the codes and inspections and so forth. And that they'll pay the full cost of any improvements that would be made.
Okay. Mr. Dockett?
Well, I don't think we should do this on a wink and a nod. I believe the planning commission should be involved. The planner should be involved. It's a PUD. There's a problem with this being a PUD. This was set up to be a fire department and a police department. And when this township moved down here, the offices, they did it without reviewing the PUD. And if I wanted to do this in my building, I would have to jump through a lot of hoops, let me tell you. So if we're going to treat the township different than we treat our people, then it's too bad, because this is a major operation. And I think that there's a problem with it being a PUD. And as a police department, none of us are going to know what's going on there. I believe it's just like our police department. You can't even get in it unless you work here. Or, I mean, unless you're like, I can go in it because I'm on the board just like anybody else. But it's not a public place. The upstairs, this will be the same way. This is a police operation, and I think that we better make sure about insurance. I mean, are we more at risk here having a law net upstairs here?
I would think that that would be part of the contract, that they would have to have some
Well, I
type
mean,
of liability insurance.
I would hope that we are getting this, something a little better in the minutes than we usually get about the questions being asked, and, you know, because there's a lot of things to think about with this. And,
Are you asking for some clarity on, did you want some of these questions to be in the minutes?
Yes,
To
I
make
do.
sure that the board
Yeah.
is actually covered with regards to,
Well, any of these questions that anybody asks, I believe should be in the minutes, so that they can be addressed.
can be on record too.
Be on record, that's right. And I want to look out for the taxpayers of Northfield Township. That's who owns this building. And I want to get every penny that it's worth as far as rent goes. But I believe the only person that can probably negotiate this is our attorney. I don't think that Wagner or anybody else is going to have much to say about it. It's kind of a
Wagner
secret.
is in our township, the township manager and our township attorney is going to be working
Right.
together to do it.
Well,
That was the motion. Yep.
I know, but
That was the
I
motion.
think that they're kind of a secret outfit like the police department, and you're not going to get very far.
If I could respond, Chief Wagner told me when he first came in that he wanted nothing to do with being part of the negotiating committee
Yeah.
because of his already being involved with them. And actually, when they were founded, Northfield Township was one of the founding governmental agencies that went together to form this group. And I got a copy of the bylaws and the organization. That's part of what we ran through the bond attorney. But the supervisor at the time, plus the chief, signed off joining that organization. So it's kind of interesting that you've been involved with them since they were first organized as a township. As far as the building code, zoning, planning, and all that sort of thing, I wasn't here when this part was built, but I can assure you that we'll make sure that we're in compliance with all aspects of that. And the only reason it may appear hurried is that we just now were approached by this, so we brought it to you as soon as possible. And we try to be upfront with you and the public that, we are doing things above board. So, we'll ensure that. But I think as we bring back a proposed lease, it will address a number of the different issues that you're talking about, including liability insurance and things of that nature.
And I want to make sure that the taxpayers are not subsidizing law down. And I want to, I think that I'd like to know if it's a lease or a rent. We have been talking for the last 6 months or so about bringing our offices up here. So, I mean, I think we need to know how long this is going to be for. I mean, do we want to get into a lease? Am I going to call it a lease or rent? I mean, do we know? But I want to know that if we're going to sign something for 5 or 10 years, we got to know that we're not going to have this space for our own selves. So that's another thing. And the utilities, in my opinion, need to be split off. And so there's a few things that I would like to know
I'm
about.
sure all of those will be taken care of with the negotiations, Mr.
I can
Dockett.
just say one thing.
Ms. Zelnok, go ahead.
I think this has a potential to be a win-win. Seems like the organization is losing one of their 2 locations, so they're consolidating, which is probably a win for them, and we have an opportunity to rent or lease this building, so I think it's a win-win.
Well, we need to make sure we get enough money.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Chick?
I have every confidence in our manager and our attorney that they're going to dot all the i's, cross all the t's, and do everything they need to do to make sure that this is handled the way it's supposed to be handled, and with all the bases covered.
Yep, I'm confident also. Are we ready for a roll
Can we
call
just,
vote?
can we just please restate the motion, just for clarity? I
Okay.
believe Dockett was not in the room at the time.
You want me, okay, there was a motion by Otto to authorize Ains and our legal counsel, our attorney, to negotiate a contract with the organization and bring it back to us.
Well, we need the
Is that
sewer
fair?
department, to sign on. I would say we're going to need some RUs, maybe another hookup or 2.
We're overpaying for our RUs in this building in the first place, so.
Well, not really.
Yeah, we are.
No, it was inspected by the plant department, and that's what they decided.
Okay, anyway, so we have the motion. It's by Otto and support by Bellinger. Let's have a roll call vote, please.
Otto?
Yes.
Zelenak? Yes. Manley, yes. Dockett?
This is just for, have them look at it. Is that right? Yes.
Bellinger?
Yes.
Chockley?
Yes.
Chick?
Yes?
Thank you.
Can I make a
Passes.
request that we maybe take a little bathroom break, please?
I did.
Yeah, quickly. Okay, we would like to get done before 10, please. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the Horseshoe Lake SAD refund correction for Ms. Lupi. Go ahead, Ms. Zelnok.
So I'd like to make a motion that the township pays Ms. Lucinda Lupi the refund for the Horseshoe Lake Sewer in the amount of $1,811.56, as this is a correction for a refund that she did not receive. The refund be paid from the general fund. After the refund, the township requests Donald Lupi Living Trust to return the overpaid portion of his refund to the township.
I'll support.
Okay, that's a motion by Zelnok and support by Chick. Do we have any more discussion on this item? Ms. Otto?
Yeah, a couple of things. Number one, why do we have to wait until after the refund to ask for
The money back.
the Donald Lupi's Living Trust to return the overpayment?
That was my understanding of the request from Mr. Steve Mann, our bond, so I would expect the refund after it would go out tomorrow, and then we would start the request.
Okay, and who has oversight to the Donald Lupi Living Trust? Does she have any authority, any oversight, any connection to that living trust?
No, Mr. Donald Lupi is still alive. He's just created a living trust.
Okay.
His wife just died a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
Is she associated with Donald Lupi in any way other than?
I believe she is probably an in-law. I believe Ronald was her husband, and they were married. I mean, they were brothers.
She's the sister-in-law.
She's the sister-in-law.
Lucinda is the sister-in-law.
Okay. I just want to make sure that there is no connection between the two things, because once we get the ball rolling, we cannot backtrack.
I would expect that we'd cut the check tomorrow. Give it
I
to her.
understand that, but I mean, once that check's cut and she cashes it,
That's right. It's
we
her
cannot,
money.
it's going to be hard to get our other money back.
Based on the research we have done, she did not receive the check she should have received.
Okay.
She lives in the house, and Donald Lupi Living Trust, who received the money, doesn't even have a house on any of his properties.
He doesn't have a house, what?
On the properties that were refunded for the Horseshoe Lake on Shady Beach.
Yeah, he lives out
Right.
on
Okay.
Jennings Road or something.
Okay, so we have a motion by Zelnok and support by, who supported this?
I'd like to,
I did.
Chick.
I want to ask
Okay.
a question.
Go ahead, Mr. Dockett.
Do we know what happened here? I mean, is it just a mistake, or?
It was an error. The parcel number was duplicated, and instead of Miss Lupi's parcel number next to hers, it was Don Lupi's, right? So there were two in a row, and it was easily found in the records upon searching. But it was obvious that that's what happened. Okay.
He's not going to be easy to collect them.
Okay. So roll call vote, please.
Manley, yes. Chick?
Yes.
Zelenak?
Yes.
Shockley?
Yes.
Docket?
Yes.
Zelenak?
Yep, again.
Oh, she can't vote twice.
Thank you. Bellinger?
Yes.
Otto?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That passes.
If I may, Madam Stewart, I would like to thank everybody in the office, and you in particular, that helped to get this resolved, and Ms. Manley and Mr. Mange and Ms. Carlisle, because it was a group effort to make sure we were doing the right thing. So thank you very much for all the help.
You're welcome. Okay, the next item is franchise agreement with Charter Communications. Would you like to take this, Mr. Ains?
This is a renewal of the agreement with the cable company. We receive funds because of their involvement, but it also serves the public. I had Mr. Maines review the contract to ensure that it would be acceptable to go ahead and renew it, and I'd like to turn it over to him.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Maines.
It's limited.
These contracts are form agreements that are governed and regulated.
It's not on.
Yeah. Just put it closer to your mouth. Yeah.
How's that?
Good.
There we go. It's alive now. These contracts are form agreements that are regulated by the state of Michigan in terms of what the content's required to be. The actual amount that the municipality can impact them is very, very small. The primary place is the percentage fee that's charged by the municipality. It's allowed to max out at 5%, which is currently where it is. So really, there's not much to do as far as review. As I say, they're mandated contracts by the state of Michigan.
We just need to fill in the 5%
That's correct.
and the 0%.
And the 0%.
Okay.
Do we have a choice?
We could do less.
No, I mean with charter, we can't.
Oh,
That's what, yeah, I know, right? Okay, wait.
I wish. Okay. Okay, let's get a motion here before we start talking about it. Okay, I would like to make a motion that we renew the contract with Charter Communications and provide for the 5% franchising fee and the 0% franchising fee for public, educational, and government entities. So a motion by Chalkley, do I have a support? I need a support.
I'll support.
Okay, motion by Chalkley, support by Otto. Now we can talk about it. Ms. Bellinger.
Yeah, I have a question, maybe Brad may know. What is the reason for these fees? And if we had like a Comcast, would it be the same kind of, maybe the similar type of agreement? What is the reason for these possible fees? Is this like a consumption tax that the township gets to charge? I mean, it just seems, I'm just kind of curious. What is do you know the evolution of this? What is this?
My understanding is that the fee is to cover sort of all of the overhead that the township may have in having to deal with the cable provider.
In what capacity do we deal with the cable provider? I mean, it sounds like just that's why I'm asking. I don't know. It looks like a way to tax the people in another way, a roundabout way. That's why I'm asking questions.
Yeah, my understanding is that the fee is designed as essentially an entry barrier, that's the cost for them to do business in the community. Communities, I think, used to charge much higher rates than this to cable providers to be allowed to come in, which is why it became regulated by the state government to limit those fees that could be charged and what could be required of various cable franchises to come into the community.
And we can charge anywhere from 0 to 5%. That's a variable that we as a board can choose.
That's correct.
Now this actually gets paid, the fee goes right to the consumer. And then it's collected on, Charter collects it and gives it to us. Is this how this works typically?
I would assume so.
Yeah, it's on your bill.
Yeah.
$3 and something.
Okay, let's do this thing.
Okay. Mr. Dockett.
What happened over the years, we used to get about $50,000 for this. What happened is, it used to be called Cable of the Lakes when it first came in. They promised 2 channels for the school, 2 cameras, the maintenance on them, 1 for the township, cameras for the township, 25-year lease, or 26 years we signed, stupidly, in my opinion, for them, and we get nothing from them, as far as I know. Do we? Do we have any cameras? Or?
I don't know, but the budget shows that we should be getting $98,000 this year.
Well, I understand. I see the 98,000. That's what it's all about. Is the township gets $100 grand for it. How long is this for? I looked through here and I could not find it quickly. I couldn't spend 3 hours trying to read the thing, but I'd like to know how many years are we signing away here, if anybody knows.
It's a period of 10 years, Mr. Dockett, on page 4 under section Roman numeral 5, term. The franchise agreement shall be for a period of 10 years from the date it's issued.
Where's it at? Number what?
Page 4, Roman numeral 5.
for? What did they say? Oh, okay. Yeah, I looked for it. Well, it's a long time, but I suppose there's nothing we can do
Don't have a
about
choice.
that.
This doesn't preclude any other provider from coming into the community, does it?
I think it does.
Does it?
Well, a cable, it does. I mean, they can come in satellite, but I don't think I think that's what it's all about, isn't it? There's nobody else.
They can come in, but we're tied to the contract for 10 years, right?
So-
But they probably won't, because they don't
They
do
won't,
that.
yeah.
Well,
They don't-
maybe fiber optic might.
Yeah, yeah.
They might come in, but on the cable, on the lines, I don't think anybody can come in. I don't think.
So what if we said 5 years?
But anyway, we don't get any camera or anything, and I don't know what happened about that.
Yeah, what if we said 5 years? Why is it 10?
Yeah, right.
10 seems like a very long time.
Yes, and then they can give you whatever. They give us lousy programming. There's just no doubt about
Yeah,
that. They might do okay on internet and all that stuff, but boy,
Is there a time that we have to renew this, or?
I don't know, Mr. Ains, this was kind of put on at the last minute. I didn't know.
Well,
prior.
it was put on at this point because you were under a deadline you had to
Right, but
adopt.
I never saw this letter, and it was addressed to me. This was September 25th, so, until the packet came out.
Yeah, I just forwarded it to the attorneys when it came in.
Right.
So what if we change it to 5 years? Why, I mean, I'm not sure why it's 10.
Off the top of my head, I don't know whether that's a term that we can change. I don't know whether that's a form term that's set forth in the agreement as promulgated by the state.
No.
So you think it's a state requirement?
In other words, I don't know if we can change that.
Okay.
That's something I would need to check on. I didn't look at whether the term was a.
So it's not with the cable company, it's with the state?
No, the form of the agreement is set forth by the state. So I'm not sure whether that's a term that we can change in the agreement or whether that's mandated
not
by the state that it
negotiable.
be for a 10-year term.
Yeah, do we know if it's, so you don't know
That's
if
what
it's
I'm saying.
negotiable or not?
That's not something that, when Mr. Ains and I talked about it, that was an issue, so I didn't look to see whether that's a term we could change or not.
Well, you won't hear from them again for 10 years if you sign it.
Can we wait?
When's the deadline?
When's the deadline? Can we wait one more meeting and just get resolution
2
on it?
weeks.
Huh? 2 days?
2 weeks, is it? When's our next meeting?
Our next
yeah,
meeting
yeah.
is the 28th of November.
Yeah.
When does this month?
This seems like a long time.
Unless there's another cable company knocking on our door.
Well, maybe in 5 years there might be. We can only hope, especially,
Yeah, well-
I mean,
We can't even get
I
cable
know.
past our subdivisions.
I
so.
can't, I live very close to your subdivision and I cannot get cable of any sort.
Really?
Is fiber optic coming through the township?
I wish that would happen.
They want to, but it's really expensive.
If we did an SAD like out
Like
in the
millions,
west side.
millions.
Well, but I mean, it's downtown, it's here.
Some of it is, yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but,
Yeah, but we don't have it out. I can't get anything for AT&T
yeah,
out by my house.
I was surprised when they voted to
Yeah.
get it in. I said, well, we already got it. But I didn't know that most of the township is not covered with fiber.
Okay, let's figure out what we're going to do here. Shall we postpone this for 2 weeks and find
Sounds
out?
good.
Okay.
Unless Mr. Maines can figure it out before the end of the meeting.
Okay.
Make a motion to table this?
Yes.
Okay, so we had a motion by Chalkley and support by Otto. I withdraw. I move to table this until our next meeting.
Support?
Okay, motion to table by Chalkley, support by Ballinger. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you.
Excuse me.
Tabled.
I don't think table's the right term.
Well, maybe not, but we don't have to do anything.
Right,
We're
it's not, it's-
postponing it.
Postpone or something.
Lisa will get the right verbiage. Okay, next item. The civic event application, the Kiwanis Christmas tree sales.
So the insurance certificate is with Jennifer in the office. George dropped it off today. I had to get this done as soon as possible, and Lenore, I'll need you to sign page 6 as owner of the Kiwanis.
Owner?
Because you're
Okay.
secretary.
All right, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the civic
Oh, my
event
God.
application of the Kiwanis Club of Whitmore Lake to sell Christmas trees at 75 Barker Road from November 24th through December 23rd.
Support.
Okay, motion by Chockley, support by Bellinger. Do
And
we-
also note that the fee is waived because we're a nonprofit.
Yes, and the fee is waived. Okay. And they will leave the building in the condition that they brought the trees in, because I cleaned it all up last year.
Well, I
Jackie
cleaned it
said
too.
she'll clean it too, yes.
I
Yeah,
cleaned it
was a
this
lot,
summer.
a lot of tree junk in there. Anyway, okay, there we go. So, roll call vote, or all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I have to
Or
abstain.
abstain.
Okay, so we have 2 abstainers?
To abstain.
Okay. Well, then, let's roll call.
Bellinger,
Yes.
Docket,
Yes.
Zelenak,
Abstain.
Chockley,
Yes.
Manley, yes. Otto,
Abstain.
Chick.
Yes.
Okay, it passes, thank you. The next item, I would like to move to enter in the contract as prepared with MMPW Services for snow removal pursuant to the snow removal guidelines in Exhibit A, and authorize the township manager to sign the contract.
I'll support.
Motion by Chockley, support by Chick. Any more discussion on this one?
Has the lawyers reviewed the contract?
I believe they have. You have reviewed the snow
Snow
removal
removal.
contract?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so the only thing that needs to be changed is the day of October 2017, since we're now in November.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, any other discussion on this item? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Zelenak,
Yes.
Chockley,
Yes.
Docket,
Yes.
Bellinger, Chick,
Yes.
Otto,
Yes.
Manley, yes.
Okay, that passes. Thank you very much. Next item, hire paid on-call firefighter trainee. So I would like to make a motion to approve the hiring of paid on-call firefighter trainee Devin Simmer, contingent on background check and successful physical.
Support.
Motion by Chockley, support by Bellinger.
Yep.
Any more discussion on this? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you. That passes. Okay, I'd like to move to approve the sale of Rescue 8-1, which is a 2006 Ford F-550, must be pickup, and have it listed with Fire Tech to be sold.
Support.
Motion by Chockley, support by Chick. Any more discussion on this item?
I was just wondering if Deputy Chief Bishop would know what the estimated price would be for going, what you'd put it out there.
So I know we've had discussions with a couple different companies. I'm not sure the exact price range as of yet. It kind of fluctuated a little bit with regions, so that's the one reason we went with Fire Tech, I believe. I don't have an exact number. If I give you one that comes in lower than that, I don't want anybody mad at me. So.
Give the lowest.
Yeah, so I know 3 years ago it was in about 40 to 45,000, but that was 3 years ago. Some more wear and tear because we still had that truck in service for the last 3 years. So you can kind of imagine that price is going to drop down probably. It could be in that 30 to 35 range.
Yeah.
So, but don't quote me on it because I haven't had direct contact with that group. But
So
that's just
over
a guess.
20.
Over 20.
Hopefully over 20.
So don't get mad at me, Mr. Dockett.
Okay, so we have a motion.
Thank you,
Motion by
Mr.
Chockley,
Bishop.
support by Chick. Anybody else want to question? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you. Next item, the boards and committees application form. Ms. Carlisle and I put this together, and we wanted to make our application a little more formal so that we can actually eventually qualify to become a redevelopment-ready community. And that's the source of most of this application. So it's been adapted for us slightly, open to any changes, especially on the last page, where there might be some skills that we think might be of use to any of these committees, but otherwise, I would like to move the adoption of the application to be used with new and returning applicants to our boards and commissions. Motion
I
by
support.
Jacki, support by Otto.
Seems.
Discussion, please. Anybody? Ms.
I-
Bellinger? Oh, no, let's go down here then.
Go on.
Start on this end.
I
Yeah,
was
let's
just
start
gonna
at this end once in a while.
Yeah, let's
I
start
started
at
with my
the
hand raised all the time, yeah.
Go ahead.
So is there any room on this page, or I don't know if you want to add another page because it's already lengthy, for any like pop-up commissions that might form, or
Pop-up
yeah,
commissions?
like in the middle of, so let's form a committee to do this.
Like blue
Oh,
skies.
like
Yeah.
Blue skies or something like that?
Like a generic,
Or
or
just
is
any
it, or are
like,
you just concerned about these particular committees and boards?
because these are our formal ones with the
Okay, all right, that's fine.
appointments,
I don't see the downtown committee on here. Would they not,
but The downtown planning group,
yeah, would
the
they
down-
not fill out one of these, or?
I don't know what their terms were, but they're they're intended to kind of be absorbed into the DDA as spots become available.
Okay.
So while we could, develop one, their work is virtually
Done. Okay.
So a couple members have been appointed to the DDA as the openings became available. But there are specific criteria that we need for several of these committees. So that's why you see some of the check boxes that you see under here, the representation for the different committees.
I would also recommend that that they still submit their resumes and any references for support, because usually that provides us a good indication of their background as well.
Okay, in addition to this.
Yeah.
That's totally fine for them to do that.
Yeah.
I would think that they could put a lot of a biography, including your skills. They could attach a resume easily.
You might, on
could
Ms. Otto's, you might put
call
that
that
in
out.
one of these bullet points or something.
Yes, we could do that.
Please include references and resume.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Ms. Chick, go ahead.
So your resume is a good idea, only because as I'm looking through this, I mean, there's very specific criteria that you're asking for from people that are interested in it, and a lot of people don't fall under any of these headings. As a planning commission, I mean, I was public health, but that's dental, it has nothing to do with planning commission. I wouldn't be on that commission if I had to fill out this form and you just looked at this as a reference.
It's too
There's
intimidating.
some really good people that are very good at making decisions that don't fall under any of these, so I think it's important that we don't just use this.
Right.
I agree with
Right.
trustee Chick.
On the actual back of the application, it says, even if you do not fit in any of the experience or professional background listed, the community urges you to apply for consideration, and that we do need citizens with diverse backgrounds. So that's helpful. Maybe I can make an adjustment to the Planning Commission, for instance. Although the law calls out the fact that we want people to be able to represent as these different particular I don't know, what do you call them? These particular things exist in our community, we want representatives. For Planning Commission, we want a representative of agriculture, for instance. Education is, we have the school here. I don't know what other commerce that we have existing in the township, but as you can see, there's like 8 different items, and we have 7 commissioners, so we won't be able to cover them all anyway, but I think when people do provide their resumes, we'll be able to see that they may fit in several different items and have those kind of skills that we could choose from. Mr. Dockett.
A little too formal for me. I will not support this.
I feel it's overkill.
That's
It's
fine.
kind of intimidating to our communities, really. I mean, that's what I was going to say. I'm surprised that you brought that up.
I just wouldn't want anybody to be discouraged because they don't.
That's the
Yeah.
vibe I'm getting from it, too. It's almost too stiff, too formal, too...
Some of these things, in order for us to get recognized in, like the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, they're requiring some of these best practices type things.
Right.
And I know we're a small town, and, you know, we've done things by know your neighbor type thing, but this is one of those things that, if we're going to want to compete with the big boys to try to get different type of development in here, we're going to have to step up our game.
I believe that's true.
So what if you included like a final box on all of these, just saying, you know,
Other and let them fill in
yes.
something? That would be fine too, because there may be something that they can contribute.
Yes.
That we don't know about, right?
Put like recommended but not required, something like that.
Yeah. So anyway, that's why I said this is definitely open for edit. you
Okay.
know. And so I'll run another draft by, or send me your thoughts, and we'll see if we can clean up this last page and add a note on the actual application that they're welcome to attach a resume.
Are we wanting, because we do have those openings for December, are we wanting to have this done before that?
I did want to have this done so that we could put it out, yes. And I actually did use this last year and got pushback from some of the board members on it. But I really think that if we're going to become a more professional organization, that we need to be specific. And when we do call out these different skills, people might be looking at, well, what can I offer? And you know, gosh, there's a lot of different skills and qualities here, or perspectives that may show up
So
that
maybe-
they never thought they could have contributed.
So maybe we can start to make put a other box
Yes, put
on
another
all
box.
of them.
Well, can we use what you used prior?
Pardon?
Applications you used from a year or two ago, just to get through this, to get over the curve right
We
now?
used no application. There was nothing.
It was nothing, it was an email.
Yeah, so you have
Some
that.
of it was just email.
Yeah, 'cause this just doesn't really fit our personality. It's not personable enough. It doesn't, it's almost...
Well, Oh, you know, and I don't know that it's that necessary, because are we going to turn anybody away because they don't check a box?
No, I'm just saying, because you're going to add the other.
Oh, I can let's add the other to all of them. Okay, and then we can just go with it, and it still can be open to...
And then, you're going to add somewhere to attach the resume. Was that going to be in
Yeah,
the front
just
or
I'll
the
put
back?
that-
Sentence at the bottom.
I'll put that in the actual application at the bottom.
Okay.
Where it talks about, you know, even if you don't have the experience, or supplemental information or something, we'll
Yeah.
put.
And then I was wondering with that, because it seems, would you want to put potentially, even if you don't have the experience or professional, somewhere a little more visible?
I'll make it bold.
Bold? Yeah, maybe bold.
Or underline.
Something, bold's good.
Bold and underlined.
Yeah, the bold's good, so that it highlights that.
Okay, great.
And that's
All right.
I'm good with those changes.
Thank you. So, Ms. Chick, you have...
Can I make a motion to approve the boards and commissions application form with the changes presented at this meeting?
I'll support.
Thank you.
Okay, so Ms. Chalkley and Ms. Otto will undo ours, you know, but because we actually did make the motion. We'll take ours away and let them do it. Okay, so motion by Chick, support by Zelnok. Do we need a roll call vote?
Yes.
Okay.
What are the changes? There was a lot of chatter going on. What were the changes?
I am
I
underlining...
understand adding the resume was a possible change.
Underlining the experience, even if you don't have the experience, that's going to be underlined, and I'm adding, attaching a resume under the supplemental
Are
information.
you on this first page here?
On the back of this, of the application. Pardon? Oh, and you want references too? Well, okay. Now we're talking, being,
I wouldn't
Not-
say
this
references
is
of
good.
support, if applicable.
Then take it off.
Yeah.
you know,
don't need it.
because now they're calling up people and getting all sorts of,
Okay.
anyway.
That's too personal.
Oh, that's very
Okay.
intimidating.
Yeah,
Okay,
and then the other.
we're adding other to everything. Does that make sense now? Are we good? Okay, all in favor?
No. Roll call.
Okay, roll call vote.
Chick,
Yes?
Otto,
Yes.
Manley, yes. Chockley?
Yes.
Zelenak?
Yes.
Docket?
No.
Bellinger?
No.
Okay, 2 noes and 5 yeses. Thank you very much, it passes. All right, next item. Independent contractor agreement. Ms. Otto, would you like to handle this one, or attorney? Either one.
Either or. Basically what this is just a template as a guide to move forward with any consultant contractor agreement form that we would have. There are certain things in this that we would not change, but there are some things that would be customized based on the consultant or the contractor that we would come into agreement with, such as the type of payment, how payments are made, that type of thing. If there was expenditures, that type of thing. Those are some of the things that we would have to, that we would call out. But as far as insurance, as far as some of these legalese, those would not change.
Okay. Okay.
I want a motion.
I would like
Then
to-
we can have a discussion.
You want to make a motion, Ms. Selnok?
No? but
Okay.
I'd like to have a discussion.
Okay, I'll make a motion. So, motion by Chockley to adopt the independent contractor agreement as a template.
I support.
Okay, motion by Chockley, support by Bellinger. Okay, go ahead, let's,
So the one is, it's a template. Is there somewhere we can put on their template? Or no? I'm looking at Mr. probably Maines.
I think you certainly can.
Yeah.
I don't know that, ultimately, I'm not sure that it really makes
Okay.
a difference. If I may.
Yes, please.
I think that the goal here is, and we're trying to do this in a couple different areas. I know I've been working with the supervisor to try and come up with a form code enforcement letter. I think the goal is to try not to be inventing the wheel every time we go to do something. And so while Trustee Otto is absolutely and completely right that each time there may be elements of how they get paid that may be different, there may be elements of how expenses are going to be handled that may be different, but the goal is to have a starting point so that the township manager has some place to start when talking to these independent contractors of, generally speaking, this is how we handle independent contractors. So I think that we could put template on it. I think that we could put a draft watermark on it until it's finalized. I think whatever the board's pleasure is, I think any of those would be appropriate.
So my one thought is somehow have a letter or a cover to what you just said. This is a template. These are areas that would change for future boards. So when
It
we
would
may
be in our minutes.
well, that, so if I go somewhere and find it, I'm not going to go look up the minutes. So I'm just saying, so if someone says, well, let's see the contract, well, gee, they have this in here. But if there was something that had indicated, this is a template, these are areas we could change based on contractors, and it kind of goes together, then I just think it would be beneficial going forward for future boards. Even maybe when, 3 years from now we go, where's that? But I think we may remember, but I'm thinking, if someone comes across it 5 years from now, they would not. And if Mr. Maines is here, he could remind people, but if you're not. So that was my only thought, because I didn't really realize it was a template and things in this would be changeable when I was reading it. And then the other one I had was, so I just think a little cover letter to go with it might be good about areas that would be expected to change. The other one is, we call it an independent contractor, but yet everything in here says consultant. So I'm not sure.
So as I explained, consultant and independent contractor are very fine lines.
But
One
so
is
I don't-
professional that gives advice and one gives service, but they both can do both. So you can slash it if you want.
Well, then I think it should be slashed. But the name is called independent contractor agreement. It's not called independent consultant agreement. But yet everything in there says consultant. So so what is it?
Okay.
So if you want to do slash, if that's appropriate, I'm good with that. Or we just have
I think
called
we just
independent
make it,
consultant agreement.
I think we just make it, we define them as independent contractor and then just call them contractor throughout. That's fine.
Yep.
We use the consultant term because that's what had been used previously in the independent contractor agreements. So just trying to keep things consistent across the township's agreements. We're trying to keep it as consistent as we
Okay.
could.
So I mean, it'd be fine to call it an independent consultant agreement and keep everything consultant.
It really is a distinction without a difference.
Pardon me?
I said it really is a distinction without a difference.
Okay.
You're either an employee or you're an independent contractor. There's no
Okay,
such
then let's
thing,
just keep
really.
it
It's like-
independent contractor and call contractors.
That's fine.
Now, probably onto the legalese. So in number 8 on page 2, what's the intent and what would be an example of ownership of equipment and intellectual property? So in a township, we're all pretty much public, everything we say.
Our computers.
Okay, so is it more property? I mean, what would be intellectual property consideration?
Software that we own.
Yeah, if things were developed,
Okay.
so if somebody developed a piece of software and
Okay.
working for the township in records management or something
Okay.
like that, that theoretically has some potential intellectual property rights that could be marketed,
Okay.
those would be owned by the township.
So if I create an awesome cash flow model, that would be owned by the township.
If you were an independent contractor.
Oh, good. I'm not an independent contractor.
It may still be the townships, but we'd have to figure that out down the road.
Okay. All right. So that's the items I had. Thank you very much.
Anybody else? Okay, seeing no one else, we had the motion by Chalkley and support by Bellinger. And I will, we can add change consultant to contractor.
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Anyone opposed?
No.
Do we need
Okay.
a roll call vote?
Well, we
or
know
no?
Mr. Duckett said no. Did anybody else say no? Okay, we had 6 yeses and 1 no. Thank you. Okay, the next is the bills. Do we have anything? Oh, Mr. Duckett.
Which one you on?
I don't know.
I'm on the paid. I don't care about the opens.
Okay.
Page 3. Stardust Theater, $350. Does anybody know how many people was there?
I do not. It might be in her report, but
I didn't see a
September.
report.
Is that from September? Oh, okay. I do not know.
Okay. There's page. Writing for page 7. Baltimore Center, Brighton Ford, $3,282. What is this? What is this? Explorer? Is this an old car, or does anybody know? The Explorer?
It's law enforcement.
Oh, Brighton Ford, yeah.
I was gonna say, I think it's on the police side, or is that
Yes,
under
it
fire?
is. It's
Okay,
law
I was gonna say that the fire department doesn't have one, so.
Okay.
Yep.
I'd like to, valve service, mount 4 tires, $1,184. Is that, I hope that includes the tires.
Page 8.
Page 8, about the center.
Yep, I see it. Yep, it did. Yep. 4 new tires.
Okay.
Tires included.
There's a lot of charges in here for Wagner and a couple other ones for the bank. I just wonder, like this one on page, I don't see a page number here.
top corner. Well, not on the even number pages.
11 on page, at the back 11. I guess the 12. The back of page 12.
Yep.
I'm just wondering, there's a lot of them charges for Wagner, and I'm wondering, like this is for $458, $459. This is at the bank. I'm just wondering, what are these charge cards or what?
Yes. Yep.
They are.
Yeah, I mean,
He's got a few $1,000 worth of. Okay, that's because here's another one for $269. Okay. That's about it. I wondered what they were. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
so I don't know, when we maybe talk to the auditors, to think about charge cards in general, because, I mean, they're kind of unnecessary evil, but I'd rather, I don't know, write a check, or if they're at the same suppliers, have an account with the suppliers, potentially. If you're going through Staples, let's have an account with Staples. So you see that it's Staples charges. If you're going through, whatever other companies you may be using, so instead of doing charge cards, just have potentially an account, so you see that. So you know what's in there. Pardon me? I mean, a card, but it should be, maybe, again, I think I'll talk to the auditors or something, is an
We used to
exception.
have it with like a $500 limit in our office. We
Yeah.
do have a charge card with a $500 limit.
There's thousands of dollars
Yeah,
on
so,
it.
I mean, it just,
On this.
because it's hard, I mean, you actually have to go to the report, you have to look at the charge card, and you have to go through them, itemize it. So if they're being to specific accounts or specific companies, maybe we can open up an account. I don't know what's best, but charge cards are difficult to know what's behind that charge. So,
I was just curious.
I agree with you.
Thank you. Okay, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the bills.
I'll support.
Motion by Chockley, support by Zelnok. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you.
Madam Supervisor, if I may.
Yes?
With regard to agenda item 9, I checked the form agreement that the state sets forth for the cable franchise fees. The 10-year period is a state mandated term.
Oh,
Okay,
So
very good.
that's not a term that we can negotiate.
okay.
So can we bring that back on and
Do
vote?
we want to revisit it
Yes,
then?
please. Then we don't have to vote it.
Get it off the table.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Maines.
No problem.
I'll
We're going to
make
go
the
back to item number 9.
So I will
'Cause
make
the
the
fran-
motion to accept the contract by Charter Communications as presented.
Oh, with the 5% and the
Yes.
0%?
5%.
Well, that would be as presented.
Well, there's nothing in the blanks.
Oh, there's
so
nothing blank
we
with the
need to fill in.
5%.
Yeah.
And
for
what was the 5% again?
The
5% for the
5% franchise fee.
Franchise fee and the 0%
0% PEG
PG
fee.
fees.
PEG fee.
Okay. Okay, so we have a motion by
There it is.
Otto. I'll support that unless somebody else did.
And this is to have our township manager sign for it?
Yes. I think, that's, his name's there, isn't it? Well, the contract says supervisor, does that matter? Can you change it?
Yeah, the township manager.
Yeah. Okay. All right, a roll call vote, please.
I just have, again, discussion that the 10-year, as Mr. Maine has indicated, that it's required by the state that it be 10 years. Thank you.
Yeah, I have some discussion on it. I have cable, and I would say there's at least 20 channels on mine that say that they're no longer provided, that channels no, there's a lot of empty channels on, and a lot of them have maybe 3 or 4 channels in a row. It's got the exact same program on it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're just doing a lousy job.
Okay.
I'm going to vote no.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Chick,
Yes.
Otto,
Yes.
Manley, yes. Chockley,
Yes.
Zelenak,
Yes.
Docket,
No.
Bellinger.
No.
Okay, 2 noes, 5 yeses, it passes. Okay, the last thing are the minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Pardon?
Oh, the minutes we had.
No, we had a correction.
October 10th?
October 10th.
Yeah, I had a question on the October 10 minutes, more of a clarity or clarification. On the front page, agenda item number 1, near the bottom, the sentence that begins with the name Rubel and wastewater treatment plant. The latter half of that says township labor that can be used towards the 10% match of the grant and repayment from the township to the state for funds already spent on the project. I'm wondering, is that, I just think that the wording may not be proper in there. The state gives the township money back, right? Or am I, something in there seems confusing. I just couldn't make sense of that sentence. I understood during the meeting what Rubel was talking about, but that, I think, needs clarity of some form.
Well, they were just discussing all of those different items, what the grant funds can be used for, or the township labor that can be used toward the grant. And then the last thing they were talking about was repayment from the township to the state for funds already spent on the project. So,
Wait, repayment?
how do you want to, reword that then?
Repayment from
And
the township to the state?
It would be repayment to the township.
From
not
the state. I think
From the state.
That's what I thought. That's why I'm asking for clarity on this, because it
To and from should be switched around.
that's what I was thinking. Because I understood that the state will give us money back for the time and the manpower used at the treatment plant, and so that's why
Okay.
this seemed unclear to me.
Okay, so we can change the from and the to? Okay.
What time you're on this, I forgot to mention to you, we did get the formal documents for the agreement with the SAW grant today. And so we are having those reviewed by the attorney, and you had approved them subject to attorney review for me to sign. So that's forthcoming. But the one thing didn't realize, it says it's from, the grant's from 2013 to 2020. So that's where they were saying you could go backwards. I knew that, but I didn't realize you have till 2020 to complete the project.
Yep, that's good. One change I would like to make also is on page 2, right above the number 4, hiring of part-time police officer. My name is spelled wrong. I mean, not like I care that much, but I'm not chalking. Okay. All right. Choking, yeah. Okay, I guess I'll make a motion to adopt the minutes as amended.
I'll support.
A motion by Chalkley, support by Otto, I guess. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No? Okay, great, thank you. All right, the last item is the second call to the public. You brave souls who have, okay. Well, seeing no one, we can move to board member comments.
Wait, I think I see 2 sleeping out there.
Okay, but if we're really fast, we don't have to pay the extra money for the recording secretary.
Okay, board member comments. Happy Thanksgiving. Good luck. Opening day is a few hours from now. Be safe. Good luck, hunters. And shop local.
Okay, anyone else? Mr. Dockin.
It cost the good people in Northfield Township $357,107.99 to run your township this month. And I would like to say to buy and use local services and stores. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Ms. Zelnok, do you have something?
Just wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Have a good meal. Enjoy families and friends.
Thank you. Okay. Ms. Chick, anything?
Yeah, I wanted to wish everybody happy Thanksgiving as well, but I also wanted to say that I know we're talking about keeping meetings short, and we did say before these meetings that we were going to ask questions that we could answer before the meeting so that it wouldn't take up too much meeting time. I know that when subjects come up that spurs questions, but there are questions still being asked that could have been asked before the meetings to cut out some of the time. And our comments run really, really long sometimes, and sometimes they could be a little more succinct and to the point. And the other issue was, and I forgot it, but it was about keeping the meetings. Yeah, our meetings are basically for local business. They're business meetings for our township, so comments unrelated to local business, I think we probably could hold off on as well. And that's all I had. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Thank you. Ms. Otto, do you have anything?
Yes, I just want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving and let everyone know that the Kiwanis Christmas tree sales will start this Saturday right after Thanksgiving at 75 Barker.
Are the trees there?
Great. Ms.
And
Manley?
we will have the trees there on Friday.
Cool.
Okay.
Just again, everybody, happy Thanksgiving. And to kind of piggyback what Janet said, just feel free to ask us any questions beforehand. Anything that we can do to speed these up would be great.
Right. And unfortunately, this is all business that we really do have to take care of. We attempt to push things off. Some of this could potentially be handled administratively, like the civic event.
Right.
You know, we can make some changes to make these things, this go better. But anyway, all of this we couldn't push off. So that's why our meetings are so long. They're not necessarily for the listening public, although they're welcome to listen. They are for us to conduct the business of the township. Unfortunately, it does take long sometimes. So anyway, happy Thanksgiving, everyone, and stay safe and warm. All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Support. Motion by Jacki, support by Chick. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.